Greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome back to episode 57 of the Snarp Fangle Podcast. I am your host, Jake Metzger, your friendly neighborhood Fire Emblem connoisseur, pre-weeb era, I'll be clear about that. And my co-host today is somebody we all care and love for, and would also love for him to finally bust those bagpipes out and use them on his new video game music album, playing homage to St. Patrick. Ladies and gentlemen, David Reed. Hello, David. How are you doing?
Doing good.
Good to see you. Good to see you. Awake, alive, like Skillet said back in 2009.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you could technically say that.
All right. And our guest this week, let me see, where's my notes? And our guest this week, I have some questions for him. For example, is he running with a gun lance? Or does he go the switch axe route? Or is he a hammer main? And also, I need to know more about this Alma. Ladies and gentlemen, Frankie Nunez.
First off, it's Dual Blades is my main.
Oh, is it Dual Blades? Okay.
Dual Blades is my main.
Okay.
Every psychopath's main. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, well, you get right up there with those, right?
Yes, and it more often, okay, at least half the time is the worst call ever because everything's too damn big for you and all you can hit is their feet. They're armored usually, like Anjanath is armored. Jin Dahad, the newest Elder Dragon, is hard as heck to hit more frequently than missing or, dual blades.
Yeah, you're like,
into nowhere. They move and you're not reaching them. So that's fun.
Has that disabled you from getting more of the are there any monsters with tall legs on them? Like a giraffe, maybe?
Yeah, that's why my secondary is the insect glaive, because you can literally pole vault up and do some cool downward thrust maneuvers, and it does a single jet. Okay. So you can launch yourself towards it so you can do it, and then you mount it, stab it, and you just...
Yeah, I was watching the opening of the game, and it was cool because some of the... It was just a long sword they defaulted to, and after they got to pick their weapon, and it was pretty neat. It's pretty cool. That game's so beautiful. It's so gorgeous.
It's so good to look at.
Oh my gosh. And the faces, man, Capcom. That RE engine, or whatever they call it.
The Resident Evil engine, yeah. No, it's so cool. It's good.
Are they finally better than Half-Life 2 faces?
Yes.
Yes, I would actually say so. Yeah. It's hard to beat them Half-Life 2 faces.
Half-Life 2 faces were the gold standard of faces for a long time.
Did you guys know that the Eli Vance, the dad character in Half-Life 2, was based on some old homeless guy they found in Seattle?
Did not know that.
And they just said, hey, can we use your likeness? And they paid him. And they said, hey. And he's like, yeah, sure. And they just modeled him after that homeless guy. So
I'm pretty sure it didn't make him not homeless, but that's
cool.
Exactly.
But, for comments, concerns, thoughts, and hate mail, as well as if Capcom should give us a redhead to tell us how we should play the game, send them over to snarpfanglepod@gmail.com, or you can just text Jake.
Also, Gemma is where it's at. I know
I was going to say,
Gemma is the bombshell blacksmith. I'm just saying.
Yeah, she's like the Dolly Parton of the crew from what I've seen. Well, maybe not the Dolly Parton. But,
more relevant, but sure.
Yeah. So, well, speaking of that, Frankie, let's start off with what we've been playing. We have you back on again for another gaming round, and this is an interesting time right now in the industry because I wanted to get you on because I wanted to wait, inevitably, well, not inevitably, what's the word to use, David? It's prior to changing my mind, I wanted to wait for you to do so we can do it in April, because that's after the Switch 2 is fully revealed with all the features in the games. But I feel like there's some interesting things that have been mentioned the last couple months before the craziness starts with the Switch 2, before the whole focus is going to put onto that. I do want to put some focus on some other things.
Is this a segue into Handheld Wars versus Console Wars?
We are going to talk about that too. But I'm just going to go through some rapid fire stuff, and then we have some of the main stuff as well. So just going to go over a couple things that have been happening the last couple months, and we'll start off by what have we been playing. And I just want to know what you've been playing recently, and I'm very excited to get you. That's another reason why I wanted to do this right now, is because you just got your hands on Monster Hunter Wilds.
Oh my god!
And I'm very intrigued to see what you think of it, because you're a huge World fan. Have you played Rise? Or no?
Yes.
You have. Okay.
Yes. I have like
do you even
140
have
hours
to
in
ask that
Rise.
question?
Yeah. Okay. So my introduction into Monster Hunter was Generations on the PSP, and it was unfathomably hard to play without some sort of camera control. And the camera control already in most of these games are not the greatest. So I didn't play very much of it, and I couldn't get into it. I didn't understand it. I had trouble. I thought it was hard as hell. Let's just leave it there. And then I got Monster Hunter 3 Try for the Wii U.
Oh, wow.
And I played about 20, 30 hours. I didn't get super far into it. Anytime I tried getting online, I just died.
That's so impressive, though.
Yeah, and that one was a lot easier to get into. There's a lot in any Monster Hunter. There's a lot to the mechanics. Once you understand them, it almost seems ridiculously easy for the most part, because you're like, oh, if I knew this way sooner, then this would have been way easier, right? Because they're not extremely difficult. There's just a lot of it. There's a lot of nuances. And so that's the hard part of getting in, is paying attention. And there's a lot of stuff that isn't said, and there's a lot of stuff that you have to go out of your way for to learn. Whether it's like special quests or doing side missions with the NPCs, stuff like that. Some of that stuff isn't explained unless you go out of your way, or you have someone that shows you. And I've kind of gotten the best of both of those worlds, where the person I normally play with is very versed in them. And so he'd be like, do this, do that, do this. Oh, go over here. You got to do this mission. Right. And so now I've taken on a lot more of that role with Wilds, where I'm like, oh, you have to do this mission to unlock these things. If you get these, right. Cause I'm just trying not to progress too far ahead of him in the story, so that we're relatively at the same spot, because he works and has school at night. So he really only gets to play Friday and Saturday. And so I'm trying to not just blast way ahead. But it's so hard because I want to play all the time. It's such a good game. And there are, even with the newest entry, it looks amazing. The game is still fun. And as you get further, I know a lot of the reviews are like, oh, it's one of the easier Monster Hunters. And they are trying to appeal to a wider range. But as you get further in, it gets a little bit more difficult as you start entering into like the tempered monsters and stuff like that, and the end game content. So it's been a lot of fun. I still really enjoy it.
Yeah, I was watching the opening of it just today, and I was like, oh, you know what does this look like? And I was really impressed. Like, it opens up really bombastically and like, oh, hey, here we go, we're in the desert, and now there's sandworms. It's like, it's not really like Dune, but man, there's sandworms coming out. And I'm like, whoa, what the heck? And then just airships, and your character goes out and hops on, what is the creature called you ride on? Like the little secret, like a raptor kind of creature of some kind. So
Cam made his a chocobo.
Oh, you can do that?
And named it Chocobo. No.
Oh, okay.
No, he
You
just
can
made it like the
customize
gold feathers, yeah.
Oh,
I did the
okay.
same, but I named mine Chicken.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Come here, chicken. It's like naming your dog. Come here, dog.
Yeah. And it's one of those things, the best part and the worst part is the grind, right? For anything, in any type of game, right? You're doing something over and over again just to get the one rare drop so you can complete it. But at the same time, it's the best part, because you're just like, oh, I need to kill the Anjanath one more time because I need the ridge bone, right? Or whatever, just to craft the dual blades, because they have blast damage. And very few monsters have resistance to blast damage. So it's just a cool weapon to have. And then the animations as you're hitting things, it's just all,
Oh, dude, the animations are so cool.
just makes it worth it. And the armor sets.
Ooh.
You can get in the weeds with that. There's so many armors and so many parts and so many things. It's such a good game to kill a lot of time in. I'm pretty sure it's been out. Friday would have been 2 weeks.
Yeah.
I already have 70 hours.
Holy crap. Dang. Mainlining it. Because the campaign, how long is the main like story, I should say? That's only what?
That's the hard
like
part, is
15
because
hours?
no, it was closer to probably like 30, 35.
Oh, wow.
But then the main story continues after the main story is finished. You get credits, right? You do the main story, and then the main story keeps going because you have so much more to do, and it increases the level cap and stuff. And if you've played Wilds, you know, like you'll continue on to the DLC and all that other stuff. And so
What do you? I'll save that for later. Keep going.
Master Hunter rank and stuff like that, because you do all your low rank creatures, then you go in and you do the high rank stuff, then you do typically, this is a typical breakdown, is you'll do one of the Elder Dragons or the Elder Dragon, then that unlocks your the end game stuff, and then you go through and do a bunch of story, and then you'll end up either at master rank or DLC starts there, and then you go into master rank. It's so much fun. And it's crossplay.
And really?
Yeah, so if you have it on PC or Xbox, you could still. I have a squad going. Me and Cam have a squad, and you could add. You have to link your Capcom ID to either your Steam or your Xbox and your PlayStation account. I linked all of them so that I can join on any platform.
Sweet.
But then you just add them in game, and I found that it's easier to do like a phone call. Mm-hmm. We do like a 3-way phone call because Cam's girlfriend will play in their back room, and we just have a 3-way call going because it's easier than the PlayStation party having it cut out here and there. And I can only imagine that it gets worse when you try to do cross-platform. Like if someone's on Steam, you can't party chat in the PlayStation UI, so it's just easier. I just throw an earbud in, and we 3-way call, and yeah, it's been a lot of fun.
That's awesome. Yeah, I was gonna ask. So where are you at right now in terms of the mastery length? 70 hours. Have you fought one of this is it L1 Elder Dragon, something like that?
Yeah, Jin Dahad I think is the first one. I would assume that there's like, oh no, I fought Gora Magala, and I think he's the second Elder Dragon.
Oh whoa,
he's hard as hell. I got wiped twice.
Yeah, because these are now. Forgive my ignorance of the Monster Hunter world and the playstyle and everything and the way the games go. But Elder Dragons, that's your end game, right? Is going against those guys, and then you get massive rewards and massive materials or something.
Yeah, typically they're air quotes over here since people can't see it. In-game content. Mm-hmm. So when you beat the first bit of the story and the credits roll, that's an Elder Dragon, and then you keep going through and you'll fight another Elder Dragon typically, and then there's a true end game, and it's just you grinding for whatever gear you want at the very end for another one.
Gotcha.
Like in Worlds, you played Worlds at all?
No, still haven't. I saw Wesley and Blaine on Steam were playing it.
That's because I bought it for Wesley to get him to play. Yeah, and then he left Riley in the dust, and Riley quit playing. I got Nick all the way to the Iceborne DLC.
That's what I heard.
He quit playing. Yeah.
Yeah, I saw them playing. I'm like, maybe I should because I have it installed.
I like Worlds because of one of the key features that I miss that's not in Wilds.
Yeah.
Is the investigation of hunting, genuinely hunting the creatures. You have to check their tracks and their droppings and the scratch marks and stuff, and then that unlocks points that give you a level of that monster. And then when you first come in, you'll be able to get the trail of their old footprints or old scratch marks, and then as you level it up, it's you'll be able to, when you come into the map, you'll see where they are on the map when you get high enough level, right? And so you can just track them right off the bat and start fighting them. But it's that kind of stuff which you can in Wilds. You can set investigations, and it doesn't really affect your ability to track them. You get science points which you can use for unlocking stuff or buying gear items from some of the shops. So
all right,
yeah,
dang. And so that's not in Wilds though, or not as much.
Kinda? It's not a focus. It's more of a secondary thing. Whereas Worlds, that was a primary feature to hunting them, which I thought was really cool. Also, you still have the little grapple gun thing, but in Worlds, you could actually grapple to the monster, which was really good for someone who mains dual blades. Mm-hmm. It is very hard to cut a tail off when you can't hit it half the damn time.
Yeah.
And so being able to grapple to it and do damage to it.
In Worlds, they introduced the grapple. Well, in Rise, I should say they did that.
Actually,
right?
It was in Worlds.
Oh, it was in Worlds.
And then they also, in Rise, it's a main mechanic.
Mechanic. That's what I remember.
And it's a lot of fun. But in Worlds, it was a way to grapple and do damage to the monsters. If they try and ran, you could cling to their face and beat the crap out of them and then knock them down so you can stun them and stuff. And it was just cool. But like I said, for me, it was more the tail it's like a trophy piece. To chop off the tail is an achievement in and of itself. And so my main is dual blades, and that makes it very hard because, like the Anjanath, for example, it's just too damn tall. You might get lucky with one of the movements, like nicks it, and so you get a single hit out of all the hits you flurried at its legs, but you're not going to do a ton of damage. But with the grapple, you like latch on and can do a ton of damage. They have the grapple. It doesn't. They called it clutching in Worlds. But you can't do that in Wilds. You can still mount them. Like if you can manage to, like the Insect Blade, you jump up. And the dual blades you can if you're on a slant and you're in demon mode. You do like a slide and you can hit X, which will pop you up, and then you do attacks. And if you happen to land on top of the monster, you can grapple then. But it's a lot more difficult. It just felt more like you had more precision over where you were attacking. It was nice.
Would this be a more an easier entry point for new players, or would you direct them to World Arise? Like you seem pretty hardcore in this. So.
Wilds is, I think, a really good happy medium for all around. Like it has a ton of monsters. The worlds are, you can literally walk from one area and travel and like walk into the next one. You could fast travel between the different zones, but you could literally walk to them, and that's cool. I think the challenge is there when you get later game, but earlier game as you're learning, I think it's a really well balanced game. You get the signature feel of Monster Hunter and what it is without Dark Souls-esque. I hate this game.
Yeah. Yep.
Worlds is a little bit more difficult, and if you don't understand the mechanics, you're definitely going to get wiped. Rise is relatively easy with a lot of the same mechanics as Worlds, but it's a Switch developed title, so it only looks so good. It was a lot of fun, and I like all the monsters in there, and I have Rise on PS5 and Switch, and I have like 130 hours in Rise and another 80 something on the PlayStation.
Whoa.
So I can't say I don't like it. It's just, you know what I mean? It's still a lot of fun. There's still cool gear, still a lot of exciting things. And I will say, versus like the Wii U and PSP, it is a lot tighter knit community than it used to be. People are a lot more open. Like before, you get kicked out in the lobby, like while you're trying to load in, and people just, you send up an SOS flare in the middle of a fight, people jump in, you kick the crap out of the monster, and off you go.
Yeah, I've heard like mixed things about the community. At least with Worlds, like I heard like, oh, it's really cool, I can set it up, and or I don't know if it's the SOS system, but they said the community was really welcoming, and then other people would say, no, it's not. It's like there's some real tryhards out there or whatever. But it's like, well, we're not killing each other. You're killing the monster. So if the goal is to do that, then we get rewards. So sounds like it's more welcoming than the last.
Yeah, it's definitely a lot more welcoming. And just like any game, I'm sure the guy behind the keyboard sucks buttholes. You know, he might just stand there and wait for the rewards at the end and get wiped twice, and you risk losing it all.
Are you on PS5 or PC?
PS5.
Okay, nice. Yeah, that's what I was going to bring up next, because that PC port looks really rough.
If you have the system, I would definitely recommend it, because it can only look more beautiful than it already does. I'm rocking a 2070 and an Intel i7 7700K.
Oh, dang.
So 7th gen. Yeah.
We got to get you up,
because they're like 14th or 15th gen right now, somewhere in that ballpark. So, you know, I'm like a decade behind for my processor, which is still a really good processor. I would honestly want to upgrade my graphics card more than anything, because I still have 32 gigs of RAM. I still have, you know, it is still a beefy computer.
Yeah.
And I downloaded the tech demo, and I run about 45 frames a second, which is not good, but it's not bad.
Is that at like medium or low, or?
I tinkered with it. I'm just above medium, but not quite high settings.
Okay. That's actually not terrible.
Yeah, it's not terrible, but it's also not good when you got people that have,
not ideal.
You know, 4090 and they're getting 300 frames a second, and I'm not even touching them.
Dude, today I was testing out some of the LAN PCs, and I mangled together one of them, and it has an FX 4300. God, that sucker's so old. It's like from 2014, 13.
Is that the one that you were trying to get Marvel Rivals working on?
I was like, because I put a GTX 970 in there,
rough.
and it looked It was rough. I was like really trying so hard to get it working, and it wouldn't do it without frame generation, because frame generation you can enable, but you're still getting like 20 FPS, but it says you're getting like 40, 50. And I'm like, this still feels like horrid crap. So I figured out a little balance. It's not great, but it's playable enough. Like you can get about 50 frames with frame gen on, and you're getting, I think, about 27 frames a second in actuality.
You mean FSR?
Yes, for FSR, yeah. Well, FSR is enabled. No, I took off anti-aliasing and took the render scaling like to 30%.
Oh, that's right.
So it's like it's 60-40p.
I will give AMD though that they went and added that to the back firmware of older cards. Like they're like, yeah, that is really cool, because NVIDIA's like, you have to have a 1650 or higher for most games now, and DLSS doesn't even kick in till the 20 series. So
you know what you can do is, if anyone, tries to give you crap for that, you can just say, hey, I'm trying to make my game more cinematic. 24 frames a second, baby.
Yeah. Also, it's
the gold
like,
standard for cinema.
Yeah, exactly. And also, it's like just a mangled together machine with parts. Like I took actual screws and screwed in the power supply to the case, because the case doesn't have a mount to screw it onto.
Tell me that you got shocked at least
I didn't.
once.
I looked inside and I'm like, all right, let me screw in. So I
hit a capacitor.
I drilled some holes into it, and it's like it went a little bit too far, and I was scared. And then I drilled the screw into it, and I did it just enough so that it doesn't like touch any of the components.
Boys and girls, he is not a licensed technician.
And it's like 2 minutes. I'm not licensed, no, but it's like 2 inches from the capacitors, basically. But I also like
that's how you create an arc. I just want to point that out.
Well, and then get this, and then I screwed it in from the bottom as well.
How is that any better? You didn't even make the story better. You just, again, he is not a licensed technician. Please
please do not do that.
Do not hire him
but
to build you anything.
If we have like an 11th person on the LAN party that needs a computer, then there you go. And we have.
How did your house burn down? Oh, it was a LAN party. I drilled in a screw.
We all plugged into one socket. It was crazy.
There's this arc. There's this arc in this one
arc
PC
reactor.
I just
FX 4300. It takes up so much power.
Demanding machine.
Yeah, and I was looking at prices of like the upgraded version of that processor, and that's like an 8350. And I've seen real world testing of that, and today, dude, a 3rd Gen i5 beats out. A 3rd Gen i7 beats out an 8350.
I'm 7th Gen.
No, okay. I know. And I'm like, dude, this is crazy. Like they tested it on Fortnite, especially, which is so dog heavy on CPUs.
Yeah.
And it was horrible on that.
See, I still run most games at medium to high settings. And
yeah, same.
If they're a little bit older, I can hit ultra. But I don't have any performance issues. Most of it nowadays, like I can run Starfield at 45 to 50 frames.
That's a rough game to run.
Yeah.
Too.
And most of that is VRAM. Because the 2070 only has the...
It's 8, right?
8 gigs?
Yeah.
No, 12. I think it's 12.
Oh, dang. You got the 12 gig. That's nice.
Oh, don't quote me. I might have to double check.
Yeah, because I have a 2080 Super, and that's just 8. Just 8.
Yeah.
I think there's also a 2080 Ti, which I think is the 12 gig.
Yeah.
So I think the 2070 Ti or 2070 Super has a 612 or something.
Something like that.
Something like that.
Yeah.
But have you tried running Indiana Jones on your PC at all?
No. I, to be fair, have been so busy lately. When I sit down, I'm literally laying in bed and playing Monster Hunter. I haven't even used my computer for at least a month, and the last time I was on it was to work from home.
Yeah.
So
it's been a while.
Yeah.
It's all good.
I want to...
It still perplexes me, the 7700K.
Yeah.
Because I have just a regular 7700, one of these guys, and it's great. But I was like, there's some things that it takes a hit on.
Hey, okay.
Yeah.
2014, that was like high-end CPU, okay?
That was in 2014, was it? 7700K?
I had that computer, it was probably like 5. Maybe 2015 is when I built my computer.
Sounds right. Yeah, I'll take it.
Okay. But that was high-end back then.
Oh, all right, because they skipped the 6th generation. They went from 5th to 7th, right?
They had limited release of 6th gen.
Oh,
there are some 6th gens out there.
Yeah. Oh, no, 6700.
Yeah.
What am I saying? Yeah. So, yeah, it Yeah, I really lost all my credibility right there. IT tech professional over here. Like, Intel didn't release a 6th generation CPU.
Because that was like the cutoff for even like the insider preview for Windows 11 when they first launched that.
Yeah.
Like you couldn't have anything below 6th gen processor.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Jeez. Yeah, I'm actually working on a laptop from somebody, and it's like Windows 11, and it's like chug. And I'm like, I got to put Windows 10 on this. But now Windows 10 is like ending support this year. So it's like, people are asking me, like, what do I go with? I'm like, I just tell them, just go with 11. Like, if you're just doing web browsing or
Arch
whatever
Linux.
stuff,
That's
just do
what
11,
you need to
dude.
just Arch Linux.
You could.
Yeah.
David's on the
It'll
brink of
feel
it.
like Windows and it runs like Linux. So it's a lot less
I don't know if most
resource.
people are tech savvy enough to
They can
dive
hire
into
Jake.
Linux.
He'll put screws in the case.
I told David about he wants to get
like,
one
you
of
can
the-
run Linux fine after I drill some holes in it.
It'll run even after I drill holes in it.
This is
Linux
ventilation.
so good.
Yeah, this is
It's
ventilation.
simulation.
This will help keep it running cool.
Yeah. Yeah, don't screw holes into a power supply because you can get killed by that way. So
The capacitor will really hurt.
Yeah.
Pretty gnarly.
I also taped the end of the screw, by the way. I was going to mention that. I forgot to mention that. So I taped the end of it.
Was really so
because
worried
it's like
about
sticking
that.
out. Because the case is just bare bones. I can show you it actually. And there's no mounts to mount it, so I screwed holes in it to screw holes into it.
It's like those really cool, like
It's like a
artsy
custom PC, bro.
custom PCs where it's like steampunk and they got the copper piping and the glass and everything. And you're like, oh, that looks really cool. And then you see Jake's and you're like, on a budget.
Yeah, because like the screw's sticking out a little bit of clearance, and so I'm like, somebody's gonna get shocked, and so I just wrapped some around.
Horrible. So horrible.
It can run Marvel Rivals barely. Everything else is fine. Like you can run Halo Infinite on that sucker and a bunch of other good games. So I think I haven't tried the finals with it yet, but nobody's gonna play that anyway, so it doesn't matter.
True story.
True story, unfortunately, even though that game is like one of the best UE5 examples out there. So anyway, that's a side topic. So yeah, Monster Hunter Wilds.
Yeah. You need to get it. I'm just going to keep
I need to
preaching
get
it
it.
to it because
I'll probably start with Worlds. And
you
go from
haven't
there,
jumped into
honestly.
any.
Oh, that's
any
true. That's
Monster
a good point.
Hunters. And so I don't think you have any.
I have no context.
Pre-notions, nothing.
Pre-notions, no.
I think you'd be happy with Wilds. I think it's a good entry to get into. It, Again, looks fantastic. It's fun. I'll be on there so we can party up. I'm still trying to talk Nick into getting it.
It's just right now it's a full price game, so I'm gonna have to wait. So if it goes down to $30, then I'll bite. Probably.
As a fan and friend, it's worth the money.
I believe it. Okay, all right. I feel like I just got threatened by the Nanya's mob, man.
Yeah.
Like, whoa. So
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad you're having fun with it. Like I was thinking about you when it came out, and I'm like, man, I haven't heard from him. Does he like it? Does he not? I don't know. It's because
I was knee deep in the weeds. This is where it was.
you were hunting down, sniffing
Yeah.
for monsters, figuring out.
And
where
it's only
they're
going to
at,
get better because they're going to release. They've already got.
Oh, they're going to provide so much
two
support
event
for that thing.
event hunts. Sorry, two releases of event hunts. Both of them were 2 hunts each. But like, I'm going to reference Worlds as a reference only.
Yeah.
They started adding like you could get a cool skin for your Pelico, which is the little cat beast that helps you, your support character.
Dude, I was watching the character creation.
Mega Man. You can make him look like Mega Man and you
dude.
give him a little blaster
That's
as his
cool.
weapon. Okay. But Capcom has a lot of cool stuff. They had Final Fantasy one where you have to fight a
what?
behemoth. And after you kill
dude,
him,
that's
he
dope.
summons the comet that
No.
just annihilates half the map. Yeah.
That's pretty
it's,
cool.
it's horrible because I've died so many times because I am not high enough hunter rank for that guy. But it is still fun and he is hard as heck. And that's one of the ones where you see the genuine goodness of the community because you hop in and people are like, I don't think you're high enough for this, but we'll take it on.
Yeah, we'll take it
and
on.
of course, you're trying to hide to not die. The end is where you try to not die because the beast is hard enough but survivable. It's once you've gotten to the end and you have no potions left and that comet comes in and there's literally in the map, you can see a giant purple circle as you watch this meteor come in from nowhere and just insta death.
That's so, you know, that reminds me of this last week. Me and Matt were playing Helldivers 2. and we go into like this. We go into this mission, and he's like, "Oh, I'm gonna set the difficulty to hard." I'm like, "Whatever." I'm like, "No context of what I know of what that is, what that it's like," and I'm like, "Oh yeah, sure, no, whatever." And whatever you want, man. Like, it sounds hard, but let's do it. All of a sudden, boom, 150 level hell divers to join our crew. And I'm, for context, Matt's at 35 and I'm at 12. And everybody's like, dude, the chat was like, this guy was like, Tom of Tomorrow was his name. So shout out to whoever that guy is. And he's like, yo, bro, level 12 on the hardest difficulty? Are you kidding me?
He thought you were over here flexing.
Yeah. It's like, what the heck,
So good,
dude?
I could beat him at level 1.
Yeah, so we passed the first mission no problem, but then the second one we died miserably at.
Yeah.
It was so much fun though.
That
I
game
had
is
so much
challenging
fun.
on normal.
On normal, yeah. But dude, we had such a blast. Like, it was like you run out of time. Like, we passed the 40-minute mark for the mission, and so we have no more callbacks. We can't revive anybody.
Uh-huh.
We ran out of everything. And then sure enough, you have a timer on who you can revive, just one person. And it's every minute and a half. And once that's up, then you can revive somebody. If they live long enough for another minute and a half, you call on somebody else. And it was like this back and forth for like, God, probably for like another 20 minutes. It was super fun. So
Yeah, we did the same thing when Cam came up for my birthday last year.
hey.
We played Helldivers 2, and he was on one PS5 and I was on the other, and we are just sitting there. I was like, we're getting wrecked. He's all, just stay alive, just stay alive. You're all running around, jumping over rocks, taking hits, and you're like, oh my God, my shield.
Dude.
Yeah.
And then like ours had the flying like creatures dive bomb us.
Yeah.
Those things
Yeah.
suck. So.
The insects suck. Totally reminds me of Starship Troopers, though.
Oh, dude.
The arachnoids.
Oh, dude! This week, me and David were doing like I randomly found an article. I'm like, David, look, and I showed him, and dude, Neil Blomkamp is doing a remake of Starship Troopers, but it's based off the book instead of the original film.
But I like the original.
I know. I mean, I've seen some. I haven't seen it all, but I've seen most of it. And oh, come! Don't give me that look.
You were the king of.
Come on.
I've seen it, but I haven't done it.
Well, with the Starship Troopers, I've
I'm not
neither
talking
read the book or watched the movie.
Movies, probably books, other mediums. Yeah, I heard about that. I read an article on it. Seems really cool.
But dude, like Neil Blomkamp, I'm like, oh, I could do it. That, that'd be cool. I could do.
You're not gonna watch it anyways. What does it matter?
Yeah, you got me there.
Yeah.
I do like Neil Blomkamp though. All right, what I've been playing this week, I did mention Helldivers 2, but I've been playing Liza P.
That did look like a good game.
And so basically, for those who aren't aware, it's a Dark Souls style game, more like Bloodborne, really. And basically, Liza P, it's a dark fantasy kind of setting. It's kind of sort of with a touch of steampunk in there, where it's a reimagination of Pinocchio. And you play as this puppet who's like this, he looks like a full-grown human being with a robotic arm. He doesn't talk. You play as him, you pick your sword, you go out, and oh my God, robot apocalypse happened in like late 1800s in London or whatever. So you go out, and it turns out the inventor, or Geppetto, whoever it is, they just call him the creator or whatever, is like, hey, I created society with all these robots, and now it looks like everything's gone to crap, and all the robots revolted and just messed up their wires, and they killed literally everybody in the city. And you're the last one alive. You try to track down Geppetto,
But you're not a real boy.
Exactly. And in fact, that's one of the mechanics is during the major story decisions and side quest decisions, you have a choice to tell the truth or to lie. And I haven't figured out what the ramifications are of those yet, but I feel like it's going to happen toward the end of the game.
The game is titled Liza P.
Exactly.
I'm just going to say.
So this game is basically Bloodborne, but like with a story, and I would argue maybe better. Because
Did you even play Bloodborne?
I played a little bit of it. From what I watched like speedruns of Bloodborne.
That's not the same as actually doing something. Okay.
Let me just say, the stories in Dark Souls are never fantastic. It's more just lore dump and exposition, and this is the world, right? And you're trying to piece together things. You kind of figure out what some of these bosses are in the game eventually. But this is an actual story. Like, you're this character, you find Geppetto on the bridge, you defeat the dude to get him back, and now he's like your creator and he can upgrade your stuff. So it's really interesting. This game is tough, really hard. The reason why I started playing it is because on PC Game Pass, which I have right now, I got done with Indiana Jones. I got the secret ending finished. I'm like, okay, thank God. What do I want to start next? Because back in January when I was working on Indiana Jones, back when we started the last podcast we did, so I completed most of it, and then I had to do the secret ending. And I beat the main story. I wanted to do all the side stuff. I beat the main story. I wanted to do all the side stuff to do the secret ending. And the game glitched out on me and wouldn't spawn the character in to talk. And I couldn't get around it. I had to roll back the saves. I did everything I could. And everybody just said, yeah, this is a glitch. You'll have to wait till they update it. They didn't update until this month. So I was able to go back. Literally, it was really nice. They have this rollback save feature, which if you get stuck in the game, you can roll back and lose progress, but you can reset it. I was actually to roll forward to recover an older save and still have the story and the side quest work out so I could finish the game. So that was kind of nice. So I did that, and I was looking on Game Pass, and I'm like, well, you know, I want to get my money's worth out of this. What's going on? And then I click on Liza P and it says leaving in 9 days. I'm like, oh crap, oh God. And so I click on it and I dive into it, and I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm dying a bunch. I'm getting killed by a giant robot cop, and it's not like the real robot cop, but like a steampunk robot cop.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh man, getting my ass beat by this thing. But as I'm playing it, I'm like, man, this game's quality.
There's a reason they coined the term Souls-like game. There is just a good genre to play, and they are. Those are the games you play to be punished.
Yes,
you have to be a little sadistic to want to be tortured and rage just a little bit.
Yeah, because my experience with them is I've started Dark Souls 1 like 3 times, and I played a total of probably 15 hours of the game. But like, I played it once on PC, then I played it once on Switch, and then I went back to PC for the remastered, and it didn't work, or I couldn't get into it again. I'm like, well, I don't know what I'm going to do. I'll just not do it. I started Dark Souls 3, died immediately. I'm like, I'm just not going to do any more of these games. It's whatever. Maybe get to Bloodborne eventually. I don't know. But then I kept hearing about the story in this game and how the ending's amazing. And hey, you're going to really want to know what the story's about before the sequel is, because there's some stuff that goes down that's really, really amazing. And I'm like, okay, that sounds pretty cool. Let me go ahead and dive into it. I put about 10 hours in on Game Pass, and it was like 2 days left before it ends, before it gets kicked off the platform. And I'm like, shoot. So I went online, found me a good old CD key and put it on Steam for $20. And because the Steam sale started, I'm like, oh, well, let me buy the digital upgrade edition and give them money, you know, because I actually really enjoy the game. The game is really, really like well made, put together. It flows really well in the level design of where you're going. The little interactions you have with, they're like mini bosses. There's like some dudes that'll talk to you who have masks on of different animals, and they're like kind of like the island of whatever the island is called, Island of Pleasure or whatever in the cartoon. Do you remember that? The Pinocchio cartoon?
Oh, you're talking about Pleasure Island?
Pleasure Island, yeah. So Epstein's Island, yeah, that one. So so there's they have like different masks and stuff in the cartoon, right? Well, those masks carry over and interpret it into this game as, oh, these are people who are lost souls who are just beaten down by the world, are the last people alive, and they think you're a hazard because they think you're a puppet, which you are, and they try to kill you. And those are like your mini bosses throughout the game. And they have just one weapon. They look like they're humans. And then they wear the masks. So you don't see who they are. Really interesting stuff. And it's a fun game. Like, I surprised myself by being able to beat the first boss and then kept going. And then I put 10 hours into it. I beat, let's see, after the last boss I beat on the last save on Game Pass, a cutscene happened where all the boss's souls went out. And they went somewhere, and I'm like, this isn't the end of the game, because I have like another 20-ish hours left. So I think that's the first like section of the game, like first section of bosses. I think it's like 6 bosses or 5 or something in different areas.
I really appreciate your ability to paint a very detailed description on things you barely touch.
Oh, come on. Come on. I put 10 hours into the first time I booted it up. And then I bought it on Steam, got it on there. And I'm about, I think, 4 or 5 hours so far, and I've been blazing through. Like, I also figured out a mechanic I didn't learn the first time I played, which is you can stagger the enemy if their like health bar is white, like a white silhouette around it. And if you do a heavy attack, you stagger them and then do a light attack and do a kabam and just have their health basically. And it's awesome. It's so rewarding, super satisfying. And I'm like having just a really good time with Lies of P.
That's good.
So I'm going to complete 100. I'm not going to 100% this game, but I'm definitely going to finish it. 100% going to just complete it. And I'm excited to see what the story is. It right now, like, I don't know what people are talking about, but I'm sure it'll be revealed later. I have a theory. I'm not going to say it on the podcast, but I have a theory of what it could be, especially with certain properties that are more than 100 years old is what I'll say. So that could lead to something like that. But I'm excited to see what NeoWiz, the guys who made this, do next. They're a Korean studio. You can see on their sleeve what they were inspired by, which is Bloodborne and a bunch of different things as well. And it's honestly like not super hard either. It's difficult and a challenge, but it's not like impossible. And it's like very, very doable. And it actually lets you know about the mechanics. Versus Dark Souls, like, you're just... here's your sword, here's the attack button.
You happen to find some random NPC sitting in the most obscure place ever, and they'll tell you the most random either piece of lore or you learn some sort of item if you happen to have it.
And it has no value to it at all.
No, but sometimes you find out like, oh, they'll ask you for an item, you happen to have it, and you just use it. Yeah. So if you're not actually like, sometimes you go up to NPCs, they're like, oh, they're worthless, and you just ignore them, right? But then you're like, oh, if you have the certain bell of this or whatever, and you just happen to use it, all of a sudden they're either a boss, a secret boss, or they give you some cool item that you would never get otherwise. So that's the things of From Software.
Yeah, I've only played like a little tiny bit of the first one, but yeah, esoteric is definitely what I would
that's the definition.
Describe Dark Souls games as.
Another piggybacking on the Souls-like game is Steel Rising.
Yeah, Steel Rising. I hear good things about.
I got it on sale because I wanted to play it, and I haven't actually played it yet, but it looks super cool. Has the whole steampunk vibe to it, so I'm super. One of these days I'll get into it.
What's the Weeb Dark Souls? Scarlet Nexus is what I've been hearing about. I think I have that on PS4 actually.
I was gonna say it's in the PlayStation Plus library. You
I
can
don't
play
have
it for
that.
free.
I don't have that.
I wasted your money on Game Pass is why.
Yeah, looking at Game Pass's slate, I don't know if I'm going to continue my subscription. Next month we're getting South of Midnight, and which is the guys who made We Happy Few and Contrast is their officially new game. You don't know what I'm talking. Nobody knows in this room what I'm talking about.
No, I know
Lexi
both those
knows,
games, but they were never on the top of my radar.
They're very artsy fartsy games with bad mechanics. But this game, South of Midnight, looks cool. The Obscure, whatever it's called, it's like a French created Lost Odyssey, and it's like really interesting, really cool. It's got Ben Starr in it. It's basically a Final Fantasy game, but it looks like a AAA realistic graphics quality, basically. So that's cool. And that's coming to Game Pass next month. And then you have Doom in May, which I'm hyped for, but I don't know if I'm going to get. I think I'm going to wait. I think I'm going to wait for Doom Dark Ages. So, and then June, well, we know in July we have Tony Hawk 3 and 4, but June might reveal the Oblivion remake, but we shall see. So anyway, that's what I've been playing is just Lies of P. And so it's so good. Like every time I think about it, I'm like, I want to play it. Cause I'm like, dude, this game, and I'm not a Dark Souls guy. Like I hate that stuff. Well, not hate.
Just wait till you get to Monster Hunter Wilds.
Yeah. I dude, there's some aspects of fighting these bosses where I'm like, and then I saw the gameplay today of Wilds. I'm like, dude, that looks so.
I'm just going to tell you how good they are.
That's good.
I have Worlds that I played with Cam on PS4. Then I bought it on PC, and both of them have over 110 hours.
Hell yeah.
That's how much I like Monster. It is so good. It's one of those games you can just, I'm going to preach it. Everybody go buy it. Capcom needs your money. Right?
And they deserve it. Capcom
they really do.
Such a good job.
They've been killing it. The other game I've been playing. Sorry, David. I know I'm kind of cheating you out of some time here. Dragon's Dogma 2.
Oh, yeah? Ooh.
Capcom last year.
Yeah.
They just, I was so afraid to play it because Cam was also playing it when we both got it right when it came out. And he was like, oh yeah, the pawns are so cool. They're super helpful. It makes you, da, da, da. And he was like, oh bro, you got to watch out because I got an autosave and they died and I'm stuck where I'm at because I'm like, I'm underpowered. I was like, oh, I don't want to play. I don't want to play. Totally gun shy about it, right? And then I got into it. And I'm like climbing the backs of ogres and stabbing
some
it
of that
and stuff.
looks
And
so cool.
the visual prowess of some of the mage, like all of a sudden you just see, and there's like a giant ice clump in the middle of nowhere, just surrounding the beast, fire and lightning. It is a very
like systematically that game.
The mechanics, and that's one of their things is they're jank, but they work the way they work. The way they're jank is the way they work, and it is good. And I've just been having a blast. It's been so much fun.
Yeah, that's one I do want to get into because I have the first one, but I'm like, the second one's kind of just a new interpretation of it. I'd rather just play the second one.
I've had the first one for like...
Yeah, it's been in my library
since whenever it came out. I don't even know how long, like 10 plus years ago, right? Yeah. It's been in there so long. And Tom was the one who actually got me to play. He's like, oh, have you never played this?
That's right? Such a Tom game.
We're looking to play something. I was like, oh, I've never played it. So we started playing. I was like, oh, this is cool. And then like, we just never got back into it because we found other things or moved on. I don't know. And then Dragon's Dogma 2, I was like, oh, it looks so good. It'll be fun. I'll have a blast. Dude, I've got like... The 2 weeks is when before Monster Hunter came out. I was like, I just got to kill time because I just keep seeing Cam was posting every day. He was sharing a reel, and it was like the Monster Hunter Wilds countdown. I'd be like, 27 more days, 19 more days. I'm like, dude, you're making this way longer than it needs to be. So I just started playing Dragon's Dogma to kill time. Total good waste of time. I think I have like 35, 40 hours into it. All right. And that is a true sample, okay? Of any RPG game.
You're correct, yes.
And
I'm just the pleb. That's all. I'm the fake fan over here.
It is
what
fun.
a faker. Jake Metzger.
Super fun. Sorry. Your turn. David.
Yeah, David, have you been playing anything?
So lately I've been playing the most hardcore gamers game of all.
So good.
Lego Star Wars, the complete saga.
I, for some reason, thought it was going to be Kirby's Dream Course.
No.
That's waiting in the wings for
a remaster.
That's the in-betweens.
Yeah. Gotta have a second player for that one. The single player, it does have a single player, but the multiplayer is where it's at. They need to make a 4-player version of that game. I'm serious.
You mean NES AI? It can't beat you?
CII.
Yeah. Well. Okay. Anyway, so yeah, basically what happened is I got a new phone recently after having my old one for like 9 years.
Which is just wow.
Wait, you finally got rid of the iPhone 4?
Okay, it wasn't that bad. It was a 6S.
And we're on the 16.
Yeah. Ooh.
So yeah,
it was finally worth the upgrade.
I finally upgraded my phone, and
please, you're the last of the 3G users. We need to shut off these antennas.
Again, not that bad. iPhone 6S had LTE, all right? I was just missing out on 5G, that's all.
Same.
So I finally upgraded, and back in the day, I had several games on my phone, but, it was an 80 gig iPhone, so eventually I had to start cutting things as I got more and more stuff on there.
You gotta delete all your camera rolls, all your Instagram posts.
All Instagram posts. Yep.
And some of the turn-based games worked well on the phone, but I really did not like what was that one game? Knights of the Old Republic work really well on the phone. So I definitely, but that was a big game, so I had to cut that. So I'm gonna dive into that, back into that as soon as I can. But the action-based games, I could not get in the line with the phone controls, and the idea of using my phone as a TV while I hooked up to a Bluetooth controller to it. No.
What about your MacBook?
Well, I'm getting to that.
Okay.
I'm getting to that.
Okay.
So now that I have a new phone where, it won't drain my entire battery just from playing a little bit of one game, and I have the space on there to actually fit all these games on there. I re-downloaded them, and then I started messing around with screen mirroring on my laptop, and it works way better than it used to. Like you could screen mirror. I could screen mirror with my old iPhone to my MacBook, but it was kind of
Laggy.
It was kind of laggy. Now it works really, really well. So basically, I've been using an Xbox controller via Bluetooth, and then screen mirroring in my MacBook to revisit some of these games that I just could not get along with the phone controls. So right now I'm on Lego Star Wars, because that was I spent a lot of time playing that back in the day on the Xbox.
I don't have a ton of experience, because every time I just would rather do anything else, like, I don't know, shoot my own foot. But
playing games on a phone?
No, than anything Apple products.
Oh, okay.
But
yes.
Isn't the App Store on your MacBook? Can't you just download the games you already own onto your MacBook from the App Store?
Well, you can if they're compatible. So there's a difference between you would think Apple would have like sorted all this crap out, and to an extent they have, but there is a difference between iOS apps and Mac apps.
Yeah.
And so Mac OS can run iOS apps, but like the compatibility for every single one isn't there. So like the one I wanted to start with, because I was kind of feeling nostalgic for it, and it was one of the ones that was really egregious on the phone controls, was Lego Star Wars, and I searched for that one specifically, and it wasn't on there. So basically, my backup plan was I'll try the screen mirroring, and I'll hook up a Xbox controller to my phone and see if it works. And it sounds clunky, but it actually works surprisingly well.
I was surprised by the latency. Like, it was very low. And I walked in the room, and he's playing it on the screen. And like, the desktop image is on the 4K TV, right? But the phone screen's like a little thing on the TV, so he hasn't like maximized it. But
I know the viewers can't see this.
It
Do you see
works.
this unimpressed face?
I'm sorry. I'm like making hands with them.
No, just my unimpressed face. You're gonna go into great detail.
But
about
like,
this.
I was like, looking, I'm like, oh, that latency's kind of cool. All right, it's not that bad. All right.
Buy a Raspberry Pi, install Linux on it. You'll have a much better time.
Or we can just hook one of the PCs up and there
like,
you go.
Honestly, okay, yes, I could easily emulate all those games that were apps on my phone before, but instead of going through all the rigmarole of finding and downloading them and downloading the correct emulator, because right now I only have a couple emulators on my laptop right now.
Buy something from Temu from China, and it will come with all of them already ready to roll.
But anyway, I already own those games in iOS, and since I got a new phone, and since like I was just testing out the features, I was like, you know what? Let's see if these old games are a better experience now that I have a phone that's, not running on like 30% battery life, and now that the screen mirroring's actually isn't super laggy anymore. Let's try it out. And honestly, I've been having a lot of fun.
Yeah, I was looking at KOTOR here on the Apple Store, and it's only for iPhone and iPad and the Vision, basically. Like, so it doesn't have MacBook compatibility for some reason. But I feel like that's going to change.
I haven't looked for that one yet, because I didn't have a problem with playing that on the phone. Honestly, that one works really well on the phone.
Yeah.
I haven't looked for it, but it's possible that it's one of the ones that's compatible. One of the iOS apps that's compatible with Mac OS, and you can simply just go to the App Store, and it has a section specifically to look for iOS apps that are compatible.
You should get Balatro, David. Dude, Josh was showing me like
nominated for so many things.
I know. Dude, my Blaine and Josh got it together, and they're like, we've been playing it, and it's like freaking amazing. And Josh was like so hyped when he showed it to me. I'm like, all right, cool. You know, he gifted it to me on Steam at Christmas time, and I'm not into card games. So as a nice uncle, I accepted the game.
That is very nice because
and I'm like, I didn't want to reject. I didn't want him to get an email saying your uncle has rejected your gift to him. You know,
so I'm like, that would have been the funniest story to tell.
Just reject Balatro. You know,
I rejected my nephew for Christmas.
So
use that
I'm
story
probably
for the
not
next
going to play.
Your
it.
nephew
years,
gifted you Balatro. You're cut off.
Yeah.
You're not going to be in the white will. You know, so. Anyway, well, I'm glad you're playing that. It made me feel real nostalgic and fuzzy seeing them Lego characters running around on screen. I'm not gonna lie. So, you didn't play Lego Star Wars 2, or did you?
Yeah, I played all the old ones, but I have the new remastered version with the complete.
Yeah, the Skywalker.
saga.
That's different.
Well, it's
different.
there's the old complete saga, and there's the
them
new
both.
complete saga.
Yes.
Yeah,
the
the
new
Skywalker.
complete saga is
Yeah.
actually a new game.
Yes.
Completely. Yeah, it's like
Um,
open world.
It includes the new story.
Yeah,
line stuff.
well, I mean,
Sure,
even
sure.
the levels for the prequels and the original films
yeah,
are
yeah.
all different.
Yeah.
The complete saga version on iOS that I got was the one that it was just a packaging of Lego
1 and
Star Wars
2.
1 and Lego Star Wars 2.
Yeah.
And that's why I got that one specifically because Lego Star Wars 2, I spent a lot of time
So
playing that
good,
on
so
Xbox.
good.
I was gonna
I
say
remember
it
spending
was
so much time as well on
Humble
Xbox.
Bundle. I got all the Lego games. Like I have The Hobbit. I have Star Wars sagas. I have
Lego Batman, Lego
Lego-
Indiana
yeah.
Jones, that kind
all
of
the
thing.
Marvel, DC villains.
DC. Oh, I want to try
DC
that one so
villains
bad.
too. It was a really cool Humble Bundle, by the way. In case no, they haven't been as good lately.
No,
but they have cool stuff.
yeah.
And you do still get some really cool deals in there.
I'm on their Humble Monthly thing, and they let you pause months that's aren't very interesting. It's like a subscription thing, and I got Trepang 2 for like $12.
That's why they don't have as interesting bundles anymore because they save that better stuff for the subscription. And I totally get it as a company, but as an end user, it kind of freaking sucks.
It does.
Because
They used to do really great things.
they had
that's
really
like
cool
okay.
bundles. They had a Capcom bundle not that long ago.
I
with
remember
all the
that. That was
classics
good.
like a
Yeah.
couple weeks ago. It was really cool. I just didn't want to fork over the cash.
Yeah, it's like I
'Cause I
already
had
have all
half
these
of them,
games
yeah.
in my Steam library. I'm like, I don't need any more, really.
Well, I had like half of the ones in the Capcom bundle from the last time I bought a different Capcom bundle. And so I was like, but some of those classic arcade ones would have been really cool to have. A lot of them were Street Fighter, and I'm not super into fighting games. Like I will play them, but I'm not super into them. And so, plus it's all about Tekken. We talked about that a couple weeks ago.
I have yet to get any Humble Bundle because every time I come
You
across
don't
one,
have a PC, you have a MacBook. There's no point in getting a Humble Bundle. Sorry.
I live in a house with 11 PCs. I'm not wanting for PCs.
yeah, you're not one. So many
You
that you
get
don't
the
need them.
AMD 4350 over there.
FX 4300 is just
Yeah.
sitting there, David, waiting for you.
Watch out for the screw.
It'll play Lego Star Wars, no problem. Let me tell you that.
You might get zapped.
You might get zapped. You might get the power
And
might
not
go
by
out,
Darth
you know?
Vader.
You never
Yeah.
know.
Most of the games I want to play at this point that that are out currently are like games that would run on emulators anyway, and Silicon MacBooks are excellent for that purpose. So I'm pretty much covered for all my gaming needs.
And you know what, Frankie, you did bring up a good point, being like, why don't you do this and Temu and the Raspberry Pi and all this kind of stuff, which is totally cool. You can do that. But David's going to where they meet him. And he's just going to where it's
Me
convenient.
and David
which
are
is totally fine.
essentially
If
the
it
same
gets-
age, but
Here's
he's
the
like
thing.
10 years older. He is a true Gen Xer. And the best 80s games are on the original Atari. And he'd rather play retro than move on to something.
We're
going
going to talk about it later. But
I mean, there's definitely some upcoming games out there that I'm excited for, that I want to try.
Play them for all 5 hours?
No, that I want to play
Okay.
myself. But as far as games that are out right now at this very moment that I want to play, they're mostly all old games.
Yeah. No, I get you. And you're going to where they're meeting you where you're at.
Yeah, I'm a real like creature of like familiarity, habit, comfort kind of a thing. So like the fact that all these games that I like I already purchased them a long ass time ago on the App Store.
I still have physical discs of games, and a disc drive in my computer. So I get the point of I've already paid for them. I'm going to play them. Man,
I never played Fear 2. I still have the disc,
Yeah,
I just got
the complete set.
To play on it,
Yeah, I do have that. I also have Black and White 2, physical discs.
I do too, actually.
And Black and White 2 is God tier game.
Very random.
Quite literally, actually, God tier game because you.
Oh yeah, because it's God point of view, you know. So, all right, let's move on. Thank you guys. I'm just gonna go rapid fire through these like news stories. If you want to comment on them, just blur it out whenever you feel like you need to blur it out. So here we go. And this is just the beginning of 2025 here. Notch announces Minecraft 2. Basically, he was on Twitter and he was being a Twitter troll and he said, I'm making a spiritual successor to Minecraft. And yes, I keep my word to my things. All right, fella, you haven't made a game in like 15, 20 years. So
Why would he?
Yeah, exactly. Why?
People are still paying for it now. They're like, we're switching over from Java because Java's trash.
Yeah, trash.
And then, putting it on, what is it, DirectX API?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
So anyway, so that happened. Stellar Blade Studio Shift Up has gifted all of its employees for the year a PS5 Pro and $3,400.
Damn, I work at the wrong job.
That's pretty cool. Also, it's in South Korea. You're gonna have to relocate. Sony has canceled 2 more live service games, reportedly including a God of War title. So what happened?
God of War live service sounds utterly
trash.
Retarded.
So if you remember,
that is a cinematic storyline based game. If you made it a live service anything, I swear I would lose all respect.
So basically what happened, for those who are unaware, there was some Sony live service titles, more got canceled, and one of them was a God of War title developed by Blue Point Games, of all people. So the guys who remade Demon Souls and Shadow of the Colossus were tasked to not only help the Sony Santa Monica make God of War Ragnarok, but then they basically wanted to do an asset flip and you reuse a lot of stuff for a live service God of War game, and that got canceled.
Yeah, that sounds like something a big corporation would do. Thank God they never went through with it, because that would turn out so retarded.
Yeah, and I can't remember the other game. Oh, Ben Studios was making a live service game. The guys who made Days Gone.
People keep trying to make them so hard, and there are the sheer percentage of them that have been successful is so minuscule. It's so hard to watch people and companies make these games that
it's like Fortnite and then everybody else, fighting over the scraps.
Yeah, and it's like it doesn't work. And yes, if it's successful, it could be highly lucrative, and the longevity of it's really well maintained.
Like Helldivers too.
But for example, the most successful is probably Fortnite.
Yeah.
But they are constantly pouring in updates. They went from UE4 to UE5. They constantly add new content. They're constantly getting licensed deals.
And celebrities.
Yeah.
They're Crocs in there now. It's ridiculous.
They're literally doing the most.
Like compared to everything they can't do. Did you see they added shoes?
No.
You can buy shoes and put them on your character.
God, NFTs.
So Nikes were the first one, and now they added Crocs. God. So now you can buy Crocs on the store for like
another
$7.
Reason to not play Fortnite.
And put it on your character. So Master Chief is walking around with Cardi B and they're wearing Crocs. So, God dang, it's so weird. I'm glad I stopped playing, but even though this new season looks kind of dope, I'm glad I stopped playing. And I'm spending that time with Liza P.
Jake, no, we're gonna put you in a chair and just do some shock therapy.
We're gonna put you next to the computer you built and turn it on and screw that screw a little bit more.
Yeah.
Gonna do one of those what's that movie Clockwork Orange where they hold his eyes open at the end.
He has to watch all the screens. And it's just nothing but Fortnite is bad. Fortnite is bad.
All right, moving on. Switch 2 was officially revealed back in January. Cool. Team Cherry, the guys who make Hollow Knight, still confirmed that Silksong is coming out eventually, which I don't believe them. Cool. That game's been in development, David, for like 7 years. So they still say it's in development.
Relevant, but not relevant. Little Devils Inside.
Yeah.
has been MIA for like 3 years, and it looked super cool. And I've been
There was a Sony
wanting to
game.
play it. That is it.
There was a was it
devils
Below
inside.
or something like that. Below. I don't remember.
Um,
Anyway, but yeah, Devils Inside. I know what you're talking about. I remember seeing it.
They say it's still in development. There has literally been absolute silence, which is weird because they had enough to show at
Like a PlayStation State of Play, maybe.
yeah,
Or
like 2-3 years ago.
Yeah. Okay.
And there was quite a bit of content in the gameplay that they showed. I think it was like 3-5 minutes, but it was like a lot of what's going on. So it's really weird to see like different points in gameplay mechanics and story pieces in that time frame and be like, oh yeah, we might have fumbled this at the level that it was displayed, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, it's unfortunate. And speaking of games that that are either in development or not, well, it turns out the next game from the Celeste developer, Matt Makes Games, is now called Totally Okay Games, or Extremely Okay Games. They had canceled their title that they were developing. Those guys also made Towerfall, the multiplayer game. Really sad. So sad. I love Celeste, but oh well.
Hey, you know what would be really cool?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to throw this out there.
Okay.
It was a canceled game. This is why I'm segueing.
Okay. Scalebound?
No.
Okay.
StarCraft Ghost.
Oh, I remember that.
Like a remake to a game that was never
a
launched.
remake to a game that never came out.
How cool would that be?
The original Duke Nukem Forever.
And is kind of like Siphon Filter, Splinter Cell-esque. I could see, especially with Diablo or Blizzard being relatively successful with their free-to-play stuff, could totally be a live service game with like different hits, kind of like a sci-fi alien-esque Monster Hunter, but with guns.
Oh yeah,
that'd be cool.
That could
Do you
be
see?
cool.
Yeah.
Here you go, Blizzard. Next $1 million.
Just take the idea.
Speaking of
take
cool
the idea.
ideas, remakes of games that never came out.
This is a new category, by the way.
Nintendo could
yes.
imagine if Nintendo remade Star Fox 2. Oh, that'd be so
yeah,
cool.
there you
That
go.
actually would be dope.
Yeah, that would.
Yeah.
Remake that.
Actually, that would have been really cool on the Wii U with
Oh,
the
yeah,
gamepad.
dude.
With the
Well, they already
gamepad,
had a Star Fox game that did that, but it's like, it was the Wii U.
but it was like the era. I mean,
Yeah, I get what you're saying. They have the Switch now.
The Switch has the gyroscope
gyros,
and stuff, but
gyroscopes.
but like that was literally the main feature of the Wii U, and they could have totally used it more. I liked my Wii U. It was cool. I mean, it was underutilized, I think. And
I need to go steal Stevens and actually like play Wind Waker HD because
Oh yes.
I need to do
They
that.
really need to bring Wind Waker HD to the Switch. I'm
did.
serious.
no, they didn't.
No, they did not.
Not to the Switch. Wind Waker HD and
Ye-
Twilight Princess HD was never brought to the Switch.
Wind Waker was, and I thought they were.
No, Wind
Oh,
Waker never came to the
Otherwise,
Switch.
David would have a Switch
Yeah,
right now.
I would own it right now if it did. I love that game so much.
All right, moving on. Insomniac Games founder and president Ted Price is retiring. Also, Sony is dropping the PSN account requirement for PC, but you can use it to unlock content, basically. So there's a whole kerfuffle with Helldivers 2 if you link up your PSN account, which isn't allowed in every country. It was a stupid drama thing that made no sense because so many games require you to make an account now. I think it wasn't warranted, the rage it got, but now they're saying they're dropping it, which is interesting. Which
I did peruse some of the articles in the doc, and what's really interesting is the little thing. It's like they, the whole like PSN thing is they're not going to require it now for PC games, but it's gonna supposedly unlock benefits in game if you do have one.
I'll probably do it when Last of Us Part 2 comes out on PC because I am going to buy that when it comes out.
So I'll be curious to see if those benefits.
Ellie's going to have a new shirt, guys. I'm so excited.
I'm curious to see if those benefits that you unlock by having a PSN account will end up being like things that should have just been in the game already.
No, it's going to be like some sort of skin or some sort of gun charm or something stupid.
See, that's fine too, because useless benefits are better than
Like paid to win?
extras that should be not extras. because that seems to happen a lot with games nowadays. They just come out and they're not finished.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's see. I'm trying to remember the name of this guy. It's John Gonzalez, the writer of Fallout New Vegas, has rejoined Obsidian Entertainment, but insists fans that he's not working on a sequel to the game. Which I believe him. I don't think they're necessarily working on that, but they could be working on another Fallout game, so who knows?
Is Obsidian working on anything at the moment?
Yeah, so they just released Avowed, and now their next game is Outer Worlds 2.
Oh,
So
yeah.
that's coming out this year, apparently.
Actually, Outer Worlds was really good. I think the amount of detail they put into it
that's what I keep wanting.
it was really good. It was kind of short, but I know it's the studio that made Fallout New Vegas, but it was their own breakout kind of version of it outside of Bethesda.
Kind of cemented Microsoft's purchase of them, is what I would say.
Yeah,
when they just purchased them.
And I'm excited to see the capacity that Outer Worlds 2 can have, and hopefully they go and it will draw more light to them, because it was a good game. It was just short.
I remember I played the opening of it on PS4, and I just kept wanting to play.
Another 5 whole minutes.
Yeah, another 5 whole minutes. Yeah. Well, I was just testing games to see if the discs would work that I bought, and I played more than I thought I would. Probably about 20 minutes, and I was like, "This is pretty cool." Hate me all you want. I don't play games apparently. I
watched the speed run. It's the same.
Exactly. I watched
It's
same thing. All right, moving on. Warner Brothers is closing 3 game studios and cancels the Wonder Woman game that was in development by Monolith Productions.
So sad. I was really, really looking forward to that one.
So this was really a big bummer, because you have the dudes that did Multiverse, which was whatever. So they got closed down. You had another studio, and then you had Monolith. Monolith made the original Fear trilogy, as well as Shadow of Mordor and Shadow of War. And they've been making this Wonder Woman game for since 2019. So they've been cooking for a long time. And then it got rebooted in 2024 last year. And it's like, what are you guys doing?
all that wasted potential.
We
could have had digital Gal Gadot, but we don't.
We could have had Battle for Middle Earth 3.
Oh, bro, dude.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, also, it's like they could have done so much. They could have done another Shadow. They could have split the team. They could have said, hey, you guys go reuse some of these assets and make them better to do another Shadow game or whatever, Mordor or what have you. Do that and bring back Troy Baker and do that project. And then we're going to incubate Wonder Woman until we're ready for the full team.
The way things work out now, what probably would have happened is they would have come out with the video game equivalent of Rings of Power.
Well,
I've been enjoying Rings of Power. Thank you very much. I wouldn't say it's top notch, but
that's what Angie tells me
enjoyable.
too. Angie's like, and I gotta be careful, because some of the stuff she recommends, I'm like, oh, is this really as special as you're telling me?
She knows where you live and seen where you sleep.
I know, and she's listening probably right now.
Assassinate.
Yeah, I haven't watched a full episode of Rings of Power. I've watched little bits of it.
Okay.
Stop, Jake. Stop. I watched the first season.
Anyway, but every time I watch a little bit of it, it's just like, this looks like low budget trash.
Okay,
I will tell you the first episode is a little bit rough, and you're like wanting the anticipation, because you're like, oh, is this gonna be good? It does build up, and
it does build up. There's some cool things that happen in season 1, but I hear season 2 is even better, which
season
makes me want
2
to
is
watch
better.
season 2.
And I didn't notice that season 3 just dropped.
What?
Or is dropping?
Probably next year?
No.
I don't know. Really?
I'm pretty sure I just saw season 3 premiere on my Google TV. It was saying...
Interesting. Well, while you look that up, I'll mention here, Activision unveils Tony Hawk Pro Skater 3+4 remaster for consoles and PC. I grew up playing the 4th game, and that was the main one we played growing up. I remember Thad bringing it home, played it on the original Xbox, and it was just super fun to play, and I love the little campaign mode they had, but unfortunately that's not going to be in this version. They're not remastering any of the campaign. It's just going to be straight 2-minute trials, different levels. We're using the levels from 3 and 4 though, so that's
been a long day. I was looking up Wheel of Time.
Huh?
What was I looking up?
It's Rings of Power season 3.
Rings of Power. Okay.
Yeah. So anyway,
time.
Anyway, 3 and 4. They're being remastered, releasing July 11th, I think, and then they have a 5-day early access, which is so dumb, but oh well. Last couple huge Battlefield 6 gameplay videos have leaked. And man, do they look good. David, have you seen any of these leaked Battlefield
No, I haven't seen them
gameplay?
yet.
Dude, they look like Battlefield 3 and 4, and they look fire. As a medic, you can grab your buddy who's down and pull him to the side and heal him, and it looks super cool. And the destruction's there. Oh, man.
All I have to say is Battlefield Bad Company 2.
Yeah, that's giving off
I don't
the
think
look
I've
of those
ever
vibes.
actually played a Battlefield game.
Yeah, I played one.
For 5 minutes.
Played it for more than that, like 10 matches. All right.
Oh, sweet Jesus.
I think
All right, lastly, a brand new exploit has dropped for the Xbox 360 that does not require any hardware changes. I am so hyped for this. There's a hack called Bad Update that people put together, and it uses exploits from a Rock Band game and then a Tony Hawk game. You put it on a USB, FAT32, stick it in, you bring it up in your My Games thing, and it takes 15 minutes, but once it's loaded, your console is soft modded. Really, really exciting. Because for those
Is this why you
unaware,
don't play any games? Because you look up really random niche
so
stuff?
Modern Vintage Gamer showed me this morning on this video, and it's really interesting. I highly recommend it. But now I don't have to go and solder a bunch of different things in the circuits on the motherboard to make sure my console gets modded. So
Or
it's a
you
big
just
upgrade.
Don't use your 360 and move
That's
on with
true.
life.
I mean, I don't use my 360 now. I just think this is pretty interesting. So, anyway, all right, guys. Here's the main events here. We're gonna talk about the Oblivion remake and then get into the Handheld Wars. So,
Oblivion remake. Yeah.
so Bethesda has been something cooking for Elder Scrolls fans. An Oblivion remake,
Reportedly
Reportedly,
has
I should
something
say.
cooking.
recreated in Unreal Engine 5 and being developed by Virtuos. Multiple systems have been reworked, including stealth, archery, stamina, etc. The reveal is allegedly set to be extremely soon, and the release of the game soon afterward. I do want to note Oblivion's 19th anniversary is this Thursday, March 20th, so maybe something's going to happen there. You might even be listening to this podcast, and that you might have already seen it. So who knows? Questions, guys. What do you guys think? Are you going to play it? Would you get Game Pass for it?
I think it's going to be underwhelming.
Okay.
I will still buy it because I had Oblivion on my 360. I had Oblivion on my PC. And then you're talking to the person that has bought in Skyrim 15 times. Sorry, bad words. I would totally buy it. And Oblivion is absolutely fun. I totally don't think it's going to be some massive upgrade. I think they're going to try and port in assets, and it will definitely look better, but I think that it's still going to have the janky animations and face things, and it's just going to look nicer, maybe.
Reportedly, what's been happening that's kind of cool is because the combat in Oblivion sucks like giant donkey balls. But anyway, reportedly what's going to happen is they're reworking it. So I don't know exactly what this means, but the reports are that they're reworking the combat so that someone who's used to the modern Souls-like game will be more at home on it.
You mean modern Elder Scrolls games or Souls games?
Souls-like.
Really?
That's what
the
one
article
source was
said?
saying.
Interesting.
Well, that's what one source was
That's
saying.
weird. It's totally not Bethesda, though.
I mean,
don't
it's
think
not
they-
being developed by Bethesda
Yeah,
either.
yeah,
So,
but they
I
only
mean,
IP,
who
I doubt
knows
they're
what's going to
gonna-
happen? I personally don't have super high hopes for it anyway. If it ever does come out, but
Hopefully it's iOS compatible.
M4 chip, baby. Woo!
but what I am excited for is Skyblivion.
Yeah.
I
That's
keep
I
hearing
wanna-
about this.
I wanna play that so badly. I've been actually keeping up with the development progress, and
Plot twist, that is the remake.
definitely,
they just say, hey, we've
The
just
mod,
dumped our assets
the
in
mod,
here.
yep.
Here you go.
yeah. Well, the
Game Pass day
Skyblivion is sort of a fan remake of Oblivion built in Skyrim.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they've done, like, I've noticed a lot of people poo-pooing the idea. It's like, oh, the Oblivion remake is going to be so much better because I want to play Oblivion, not Skyrim with an Oblivion skin.
Oh,
but if you actually follow the development of Skyblivion, they've done a lot of stuff.
So much.
They've like reworked all the menus and the UI and stuff, and they've like all the assets, like the. Like, you know, the little like the pictures on like the loading screens and stuff from the old game.
Yeah.
They've taken those and actually redrawn them.
Whoa.
Like done their own versions of those things.
Oh, okay.
And like the menu screen does not look like the Skyrim menu. And they've even they've done as much work as they can to bring in elements of the actual elements of Oblivion's like leveling and progression system into the Skyrim engine.
Honestly, some of the mods that you can get in Skyrim and Oblivion and some of the other games, especially these really large, deep passion projects, is a phenomenal. Those developers put in so much time and effort, and then more often than not, they're free, which blows my mind because how many hundreds of hours and how many people are working on these things. And
that's the crazy thing. When I've been watching some of the some of the like live development streams that they've been doing on this, and like they keep saying, it's like, oh, you guys keep asking, you know, how we can, you know, donate to the cause and stuff, and they always keep saying is like, you can't.
You can't.
You can't. There's no way. There's no way for you to give us money specifically for the project. They have done like charity streams, but like they keep reiterating that they don't want to take people's money to funnel it into this project. It's like apparently they want it to be completely volunteer based.
Wow, that's cool.
That's cool.
Yeah, I remember seeing Skywind, which is the Morrowind remake in Skyrim. That has been, I think, in development for like since 2017, 16.
Okay, if an Elder Scrolls needs a remake, it needs to be Morrowind.
It needs to be Morrowind.
Definitely.
Yeah. And
I tried to play that, and it was like...
it's so weird.
I couldn't even get into it. It's so old.
Yeah.
But, dude, so like I remember watching that, and then Skyblivion came out right after that, and then I think most of them went to Skyblivion. Because Morrowind, I haven't seen zero updates from that in the last couple of years. Maybe one, maybe an off-chance update. But overall... It seems like the Skyblivion one is actually picking up steam, and I would be very excited to play through that. I don't know how they would work it out. Like, you would have to buy Skyrim to have that as a license and then just download this. I don't know how they would do that, but I'm intrigued.
I mean, I imagine it's probably going to be...
It's probably going to be better than this remake.
It's probably going to be a complicated process. It's probably not going to be as simple as going to, you know, Skyrim Nexus and downloading the mod with one click, you know. Yeah. But
there are some mods that do that where you just run the exe in and installs like 20 gigabytes to your folders.
Yeah.
And you run it in through Steam and everything. Like there's mods that do that. So it might be something like that. However,
also kids, don't be afraid to mod. It is relatively easy for the most part. Most of them have installers. If not, it's like copy this and change one
put
text.
this in a folder and just change it, and that's it.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Also, do be very careful where you download mods because you will infect your PC. And if it's not yours, like my kids would try to do it on mine, and I would break their little legs because don't destroy my PC.
Yeah, don't just go to some random Joe Smo Marvel Rivals skin website. Go to Nexus Mods or something notable.
But yeah, I'm really excited for this because supposedly it's coming out this year. Skyblivion is
is it really
supposedly coming out this year.
Okay.
And each time they do a development update, they keep saying, yeah, we're still on target to release this year.
Okay.
Which is pretty great because it's been in development for like 10 years now, something like that.
Something like that, yeah.
So very exciting.
Yeah, and I think it will be justifiably so a better remake than whatever this is going to be.
If it ever comes out.
If it ever comes out.
Although,
I
did you hear the latest leaks?
About this remake?
Yeah.
Okay, so yes, I did. Where
where it's leaked, like it came out like a couple days ago.
Yeah, a couple days ago. Yeah, I did hear about those. And would you like to regale us with those?
So supposedly, and I can't verify.
Confirm,
I can't verify like the trustworthiness of this person doing the
Was
leaking.
it Nate the Hate?
It was Nate the Hate, yes.
He's very trustworthy, actually.
Okay, that's what I hear, but I didn't know. So
He actually leaked the Switch reveal date 4 days before it happened.
Yeah,
Everybody
yeah.
didn't believe him.
That's what I heard. That's what I heard. So he dropped another leak that supposedly it's set to be revealed either this month or next month, and that the window between the reveal and the release is supposed to be very, very short, possibly even just dropping it right out of nowhere.
Yeah. What do you think of that, Frankie?
Wasn't on my radar, so I don't really have any expectations, I guess. So,
well, what I would say is, I think, because I heard this back, I think it was 2023, 2 years ago, they were doing this remake, and then it was confirmed by a couple other sources after somebody came out with the information. So there was like two people saying, yeah, I've heard about this happening. It's at Virtuos, and that's all we really know. And then to hear this come out earlier this year, it was talking about the mechanics, like the archery, the combat, etc. And then now it's talking about when is revealed and released. We are getting the release of anniversary of Oblivion this Thursday, the 20th. I could see them revealing it there and then revealing release maybe in April or May. My only concern is if they do that strategically, when you look at Xbox's like stuff, April is kind of heavy with their Game Pass drops. You have the two random, kind of not really on everybody's radar, like Claire Obscure, which is this RPG I already mentioned, as well as South Midnight. So if they do reveal it this month and drop it in April, that's a kind of a heavy month for some reason, when in June, they don't really have a whole lot going on, like no Game Pass drops at all. So I kind of sort of believe Nate the Hate. I've listened to him for years on end through different podcasts, and he's a cool guy, and he does have his connections. But for some reason, I don't know. I feel like strategically it doesn't make sense for Microsoft. If they do, that'd be really interesting and unique. But I think strategically, there's something down the line that he's not. The people aren't telling him, I think.
I don't know. I feel like that's kind of on brand for Microsoft to drop something that's really exciting and with very little fanfare.
Did we not just talk about Indiana Jones at the last podcast that I was on, about how they had like no announcement? All of a sudden they're like, oh yeah, we're not dropping this.
Oh,
and
yeah,
it was like the week before.
No big trailer or anything, and it was like a week before, and then they dropped the trailer.
On brand.
Yeah.
And
also Hi-Fi Rush was shadow drop, so there is that.
Yeah,
So,
I wouldn't be surprised if they
I don't think it's gonna be shadow drop though.
What's the one that just came out? Age of Mythology Reforged or whatever.
Retold.
Or Retold. Yeah, I think they'll do something similar to that for Oblivion, and just here's a 20-year, 19-year, whatever you said, anniversary.
Yeah, hey, we're gonna announce it. Hey, today's the 19th anniversary of Oblivion. We're doing the remake.
Welcome to the remaster version.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know if I'd play this, but it sounds like it could be interesting. I like Oblivion. I think it's a cool game, but
I mean, it's cool that they're doing it.
Yeah, it's cool
just
they're doing
because
it.
it's something that I think a lot of people, want to see happen. But I'm more excited about Sky Oblivion.
I totally get you. So
I'm more excited. I'm more excited.
It's been
a long day.
all
More
good.
excited about Monster Hunter Wilds.
Well, I
We
think
can't tell.
Well, here's the thing. Like, also March, if they do shadow drop it, it's a month after Avowed, which would make sense. Like, you're out of that game's like hair, so you don't want to like, I don't know, like cross pollinate with that, because this is obviously going to be a thing everybody's going to look at and say, "Oh man, this is like way better than Avowed." So that's going to dilute that argument or that kind of attention. But again, I'm just looking at strategically what Microsoft's going to do, but I think it'd be cool, like, just this week randomly we get Oblivion just dropped today, like this week, or in April. It could be cool. I'm interested though. Do you think there's going to be mod support at all? Because it's UE5. That means you have to make it in UE5 as an asset. Like, is there going to be any mod support at all? Because the way Microsoft has done with a lot of their titles, especially all the Bethesda stuff and Minecraft, is they're all little ecosystems and shops, like the Creation Club for Starfield and Fallout 4 and Fallout 76 and Minecraft. Like it has all these little markets and stuff. Do you think that's going to be more of a thing?
Yeah, but they were all made in the creation engine or whatever the heck.
True.
But that's the utter trash.
Yeah.
There are so many already preloaded assets for UE5 and the ability to have plugins for other lighting and physics-based stuff. It would be hard. I would be hard pressed to not see mod integration.
Well, I don't know, because the part of the reason why modding is such a big deal in Bethesda games
Is to make them better.
Well, yes. But part of the reason why it, like, the mod community thrives, I think, is because Bethesda does a good job of providing modders with the tools to actually make it happen. Like the idea that you could install mods on, like, you know, the Xbox version of Skyrim was, you know, a thing that was unheard of until they did it and they released the tools that you could do that. So I think without Bethesda's direct involvement in this, I don't foresee that kind of level of community
Todd Howard is the all-knowing
commitment,
puppeteer.
You know, coming up for this game.
No, I agree with what you're saying, and it's not going to feel very. I think that might change the tone of the game, even as it might be just a complete direct remake with UE5, new lighting, high-res textures, still jank movements from the the
I mean,
AI.
it hasn't been. It's reportedly been in development for what, like a couple years
About
now.
4 years, I'd say. I think 2021 was they're saying the start
And
of it.
Oblivion's a big game.
Yeah.
I can't imagine it's going to be done with a huge amount of love and care.
No.
Well, to give you guys an idea of what Virtuos is, they're a pretty large conglomerate, sporting like 4,200 people over like. Let me look at the page. It showed their info here. They have. Let's see. 4,200 plus people working for the company, 25 locations, and over 900 clients. They basically do support for a lot of AAA devs like Call of Duty as well. They're also assisting the remake of Metal Gear Solid 3, as well as just a ton of different titles. And in their website, they actually put down Judas as a game they also are working on in terms of gameplay mechanics and design, which is really interesting. So just to give you an idea of what they work on, they're pretty big, pretty large companies. So to have Bethesda and Microsoft task them with it is kind of interesting to just totally offload it to them.
I mean, I will say that I am a little curious to check out that Metal Gear Solid 3 remake when it does come out, because I remember I played the original for a little bit and I just couldn't get into it because as great of a game as it is, it's very clunky. The original is very clunky and frankly ugly looking. So I am kind of curious to see if they'll be able to resurrect that in a more enjoyable, playable form. But I don't know. Oblivion is just such a gigantic game.
Yeah.
I just can't see them really doing it justice.
What was the original install size on that? I think it was like 8.5 gigs.
8.5 gigs. Yeah,
Yeah.
you got it. The last thing I'd mention is this was also revealed back in the FCC documents when Microsoft was trying to buy Activision. But they had a whole list of games and a release slate. And this was pre-COVID, so like a list from 2019. But they had stuff like Doom: The Dark Ages in there, which was called Doom Year Zero. They also had Oblivion Remake and Fallout 3 Remake in there. And so far, everything that was been in that list has either been released or has shown itself in some way. So this is the only thing besides the Fallout 3 remake we've seen.
Oh, man, Jacob's
surface
going to
from
lose
that.
it if a Fallout 3 remake comes to light.
So here's my thing. Here's my theory. You ready? So you get Oblivion remake this year. Next year, when season 2 of the show comes out, then you drop Fallout 3 remake. That's how you do that synergistic.
This is how people
marketing.
believe and buy into conspiracy theories right here. It
Well, I'm just saying it makes sense.
Yeah, it makes sense and it sounds real good.
They could have had it done already. Like they could have
That's
had
true.
Oblivion remake done, and they're just like finding the right place to drop it.
Right.
Same thing with Fallout 3. They could have been making that for quite a while, and they're just like, let's wait for the show to get out, iron it out, polish it up, and then set the release date. So they could. You never know, but
Fallout show was good.
it's so good,
It is so
dude.
good.
Oh man.
Did you actually watch the whole thing or did you just watch like a recap?
Yes, I did.
It's just kidding.
We're actually probably going to have you back on to talk about that and different gaming adaptations at some point.
Nice.
We finally can get to our secret level discussion, secret level shows
Oh,
discussion.
you finally finished it?
Yeah, we all finished it. Yeah.
Not like the same week that they all dropped?
I finished it the week after, I think. But yeah, they got them all done. So anyway.
Nice. Dave?
All right, so
Yeah,
he
I
finished-
watched them
we
with
watched
Jake.
it, yeah, together.
Oh.
So, all right, now you guys ready? Here we go. So, Xbox has a Xbox has a new handheld coming out this year, reportedly, and they're partnering with Asus. Why are they doing this now? We got confirmation from a Mr. Tom Warren over at The Verge, and he claims, along with Jez Corden at Windows Central, that it isn't a new Xbox console, but a new handheld that will incorporate a new. I'm going to erase that. It's not founded, but it's a Windows-based device that will be able to run Steam, Epic, EA app, all that stuff.
So it sounds like they're just trying to get their own version of the Steam Deck out.
Yeah. So the power speculation,
It's
we have
not
no
even
idea
theirs,
about that.
it's
but-
Asus Tech.
This news dropped that Microsoft is partnering with somebody, and now it's revealed to be Asus reportedly, that there's going to be an Xbox handheld released sometime this year.
I saw that.
And
article, too.
it might incorporate some changes to the menus and OS, make it more Xbox-like. And this comes after we heard reports that Xbox is going to do a handheld for the next generation of consoles, along with their new console. Remember, we talked about this last episode.
Yeah.
So I wanted to get your guys' take on this, but I did write up a thing about this. And it's kind of long, so forgive me, but here we go. I wrote here, we live in a world right now where we're on the precipice of the Switch 2 being fully revealed for everyone to see. But just this month, we get this news that Xbox is having a partnership with Asus to reveal a new handheld sometime in 2025. This was news on top of rumors. This basically repeats what I just said, that they're planning for next generation, as well as word that PlayStation is also developing a handheld. And then you had the factor of the PS Portal for the PS5. This device that can remote play from PS5 as well as stream your games from the cloud without your PS5 has sold nearly 2 million units as of the end of 2024, it hasn't even been out a year and it's sold 2 million units. Now you could probably say, yes, this is a very niche market, and it is. This is just something to stream from your PS5 to you sitting on the couch. But I would make a counter argument because the Steam Deck has sold 4 million units roughly in a 3-year window time, which again, pretty niche, but there is market there.
Well, the difference is the Steam Deck it has all the hardware. The Portal is a cheap version to stream.
Exactly. And it's only $200.
Yeah.
So it's not that expensive.
It is a good price. It puts you under Switch territory with the power of the PlayStation. And when you're not, screen mirroring it, you're streaming from the cloud. And as long as you have a good enough connection, that's a solid.
Yeah.
It's a solid $200.
Yeah.
So I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, and it works really well, and they've kept updating it and make it even better.
Yeah.
In fact, PlayStation has noted they are surprised at the amount it's sold, which makes me think, they weren't, which is smart. They weren't prepared for it to sell this well, but now they are, and I feel like that's going to have an effect of them when they do their handheld later.
Oh, they're doing it.
Continuing on, though, let's add Nintendo into the mix. Nintendo, as we know, is going to just sell a crap load of Switch 2s. And they're going to drop probably 10 million. This is just me throwing out there. 10 million units in the first year. Who knows? Now, that's no joke. When it comes to the mainstream, the Switch is going to obliterate the competition from everything I've just said. But as we also know, a rising tide lifts all boats, I would argue. Because here's the thing. I could imagine a year where we have the Steam Deck 2, the new Xbox handheld, the PlayStation handheld, as well as Switch 2 on the market. And I feel like, and this will be the last of it, we're on our way to see a wonderful fight between all these consoles. And it's going to be between 4 different entities this time, as well as who knows if we're going to get something from Amazon, Apple, Google, some kind of device to throw into the mix.
I don't really foresee that happening necessarily.
I don't either.
I mean, yeah, I doubt any of these announcements really even are a blip on Nintendo's radar.
No, and they're definitely
honest.
going to win the match.
But like
for sure.
as much as I would love for competition to light a fire under Nintendo's ass and get them to do something excellent and game changing as they're capable of once in a blue moon. I just don't think it's going to happen. I think these various projects are either not going to come to light or they're going to be just disappointments.
I'm going to tell you right now. Switch 2 is the equivalent to PS5 Pro. I think it's a mid-cycle refresh update. Although Switch has been out for quite some time.
Long time.
I think it's their attempt to be more current because let's be real, the handheld space, even with, the Steam Deck and the MSI Claw and the Legion Go and blah, 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 blah. Yeah. They're emulating Nintendo.
Yep.
They reopened the old Sony Ericsson Sidekick mobile phone type on the go play. And I think they cornered that market. They partnered with IBM for those HD haptic controllers and all that other stuff, right? And I think they're partnering with Samsung right now for the Switch 2, and I think that is a very powerful refresh to a Switch because they didn't...
And they have NVIDIA.
Yeah, all these different things. They didn't do a whole lot that was different. You go from the Wii to the Wii U to the Switch. Those are drastic changes. Yeah. I think that this is going to be their, and I'm air quotes again, midlife cycle push for the next 5-6 years, and then they're going to come out with something stupid, crazy again. They should be like, oh yeah, now you just put in a contact and you play with sensors all over your body or something.
A whole AR game in your living room.
Something stupid crazy from Nintendo. I think is what's going to happen. And don't quote me on the contact thing. But
that would be a great thing, though.
This is gonna be that final push. Be like, no, we did it first. We do it best. Mm-hmm. And then they're going to push out something out.
And they're going to prove that, I think. I think they're going to, in the end of this all thing, they're going to win. And also, just 2 things. We're looking at probably 2 years from now, 2027. We're going to look, the market's going to be in a different place at that point. Right. And as well as plans could change. Microsoft could be like, hey, we're actually not going to do a handheld. We're just going to do the SS instead, which is a terrible name for a console. And we don't want to call it that.
I don't think they're doing a handheld. I think they're going to stick with the partnerships and they're really going to push with licensing to integrate them a little bit more, especially since Windows has giving up Windows 10 and 8 and all the other versions. They're really pushing you to have the current version. Yeah. And you got the MSI Claw that came out with Windows 11. You have, the
Asus ROG Ally.
Yeah, the ROG Ally. Yep. Yeah. And I think they're going to, whoever they partner with, Asus, I think they're going to partner with them to really integrate that a little bit better and have the Xbox app work the way it's supposed to. Instead of being kind of clunky with third-party UIs, I think they're really just pushing to have their name on something versus creating something themselves. Yeah. I don't know how much longer Xbox will be an Xbox.
Exactly.
And it's just going to be a licensing partnership, just like Windows, just like anything else they have. Honestly.
Yeah, because when Microsoft and Sony finally get their handhelds out there, if they end up doing it, Switch is going to be on the market for 2 years. Yeah. Microsoft and Sony will just be battling each other and Nintendo on top of it and Steam Deck on top of it because Valve has said, we are working on Steam Deck too, but we're not going to have a new cycle of this until there's actually an improvement in hardware.
Yeah.
Strength and battery use. Yep. Like we're not, and they said 2 to 3 years, and that was like a year or 2 years ago. So maybe 2026, maybe 2027, we're going to see that. Probably 2027, really, realistically.
Yeah.
But at that point,
I don't think. See, that's the thing is, Microsoft is not going to do a handheld Xbox. Microsoft is going to do basically their own version of the Steam Deck with where they're licensing some other companies hardware, and it's gonna, instead of running the Steam store, it's gonna run the Xbox Games Store. You know, that's just, it's not gonna be anything groundbreaking or anything that's necessary
for this one. Yes,
it's not. It's not gonna be anything that's gonna draw people away from what they already love.
Well, I think that what they're gonna do is they're gonna kind of revamp the UI. It's gonna be Windows 11. They're gonna, apparently Windows 11, the whole team is like really focusing on making it more touchscreen friendly, whatever, for these devices as well. So, but we know Windows and how much it sucks.
They're gonna be Surface Pros.
Like,
they
people
should,
say,
should
"Oh,
be
we're working
optimized.
on it." No, it's gonna be crappy, like Windows always is, like with this kind of stuff. I do think that as the technology gets better, and as like Switch 2 is going to come out, right, and the power is on par, kind of, with a PS4 Pro ish kind of thing. Basically, the power of a Steam Deck.
Yeah,
and there's a lot of good stuff on the PS4. Like, a lot of good stuff. In fact, they even put Jedi Survivor on the PS4 because there were so many of them. They're like, we'll just backport it, you know? So there's a lot that Nintendo's going to catch up on and sell, and they're going to win this fight. However, 2 years down the line, when it's established, we are going to get a Steam Deck too. We are going to get some of these handhelds potentially. And especially with the success of the Portal and with the data they've gotten from that, I feel like Xbox is kind of going to use this Asus partnership as a data, like a test, being like, hey, can this thing actually do it? And how can we make it better? Because we're working on our next gen right now, which also came out in this report, is saying that 2027 is the year for Xbox. I thought it was going to be 2026. No, I was more naive. It's going to be 2027.
I could see Sony developing a handheld before, like a true handheld, before Microsoft does.
Yeah. And they probably already have something in the works, to be honest. If there are, we're going on the rumor mill here, PlayStation will probably do it first. They'll do it right. The Vita is a great piece of hardware, and it wasn't supported. They didn't sell as many units as they wanted. Not that it didn't sell, they just didn't hit the targets.
Vita means life.
Yeah. You know? I mean, they kept the store going for an extra 2 years after they originally announced that they were going to close it because they got so much heat for it.
Yeah.
Like, I just think it'll be the same thing though. You're going to have a really good piece of hardware. It's going to have really good height for about 5 minutes. And then Sony's going to be like, we missed, the goal by 12%. We're not going to.
There's also a discussion two people could have saying, well, hey, as the way with tariffs and everything, who knows if any of this is going to formulate into an affordable price as well.
True.
I would counter argument saying that yes, I see that as a factor, but I feel like when you look at the bigger picture, I feel like companies are still going to get their stuff over here no matter what. Even if it is like a 15% markup in store, they even might eat the cost to save themselves, for the consumer.
Consoles in general are not where they make money.
Exactly.
So they eat a lot of costs
software.
there. Yeah.
Yeah. So I feel like
and that's where Nintendo excels.
Exactly.
That is exactly where Nintendo, even if it's not the most powerful thing, they've got ingenuity, they've got proprietary, just everything. They really put all their eggs in that basket of being uniquely Nintendo.
And we all played Tears of the Kingdom, right? Like, we all played through most. I know I didn't finish it, but I played enough.
I pulled a Jake on Breath of the Wild. I only played for about an hour. And
did you play Tears at all or no?
No, I have not.
Oh, okay. Well, David, I know you have. And it's like, and you've seen the gameplay. Like, the amount of, it's so impressive that they were made to put that.
Some people have done
on
some crazy
Switch
contraptions.
And I'm like, what? And then like all the physics and the weird wacky mechanics in there. They will do that on a device with 3 gigabytes of RAM.
Yeah.
Like 1 gig is for the home OS, and this is just 3.
Yeah.
Running at like 640p on handheld, and it's just crappy and it just looks horrible, but it's fun.
Yeah. Tears of the Kingdom is honestly a miraculous feat of engineering.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of.
Imagine what they're going to do,
David, with Nintendo
the power of a PS4.
Yeah.
With ultra fast RAM.
I'm kind of excited.
8 gigs or more.
See what they're going to do with this new Switch.
The Tegra 4 chip.
So you're going to 4 times the amount of RAM.
Yeah, you're going to have.
The Tegra chip they are using reportedly that we've heard throughout the years is an older chip, like I think pre-2022. However, I'm not going to doubt Nintendo on what they can pull from a power. The Switch's hardware, which was released in 2017, is hardware from 2013.
Yeah.
And they were able to put Tears of the Kingdom on it. So who knows what they're going to do with this new one. So, which kind of leads us into the Switch 2. If
honestly, yeah, it's crazy though. Just the amount of like power they're packing into like mobile and handheld hardware these days. It's like, I just got a new phone after, 9 years of having an iPhone 6. And now I have a phone that's smaller than my old one with 8 gigs of RAM.
Yep.
It's crazy.
And also, one last thing before we go to the Switch 2 and what I want to talk about in the Direct, I do want to bring up the terms of, and I've mentioned this before on the podcast, but meeting people where they're at and these companies realizing that. Steam Deck really brought onto the market a thing of how to engage our audience with a different device, but also have it be useful. And that really showed, it took Valve to do it because they have all the money, but it took them to say, hey, this actually could be a feasible thing on the market. And we're getting really good use out of this from our audience. And the power and battery aren't, like the battery's not amazing, but you're getting there and it's getting better as we go through the years. And I feel like Microsoft's realizing that. I feel like they see all these companies for the last several years have been looking at Nintendo saying, oh my God, let's do that. But the finances aren't there. The power isn't there. But I think we have it now.
Risk to reward.
Yeah, the risk, exactly.
Yeah.
There's a huge risk with that. But Valve took that risk. And now these third-party companies are like Asus and Lenovo and blah, 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 are like, oh, we can do that and sell this for like $500, $600. But I feel like when you could bring Microsoft into the case, who has billions upon billions of dollars, nearly $1 trillion or whatever, I feel like they're going to break that cost down and make it affordable to compete with Steam Deck and Switch.
You know how expensive the freaking Surface Pros are?
Dude, there's so much money.
Yeah. They have the ability. They do have the ability to get a piece of hardware to a target price just by pure volume.
Yeah. There's some $1,000 laptops I was looking up that are just super foldable, super nice, kind of like Surfaces.
Yeah.
But it has all Ryzen hardware in there. It has lightning capability and has a bunch of ports on it. And it's like $900, $900 to $1,000. And I'm like, and it's super, like the power on there, you can run like Baldur's Gate 3 on high settings. And I'm like, dude, like imagine what they could do 2 years from now.
So I think we talked about this in like the first podcast I was on. AMD in general, cost for efficiency is phenomenal.
Yeah.
I will never buy them though. I built 2 PCs with AMD hardware. They never ran the same as an Intel chip. The performance that I've gotten out of an Intel
CPUs you're talking.
CPU and an NVIDIA graphics card are just unparalleled.
Yeah, it's probably the best combination, and
developers
know that.
Yeah,
so they make
more
it for
expensive.
that. You know, I mean, you can get me and Wesley were talking about this before he bought his graphics card, and he bought a 5700 XT, which is a 3-year-old card at this point, but it's basically equivalent to a 2080 for $150, which is a good ass price.
Yeah, cost efficiency.
Like cost efficiency is great, and he's able to do a bunch with that card. He's actually like, I have a 2080 Super. He's basically getting almost the same performance, nearly, especially as drivers get better.
Yeah,
but that's PC space. We're talking about handheld, so I'm excited to see this war with the handhelds. I feel like this is going to be a big factor of the console space going forward, especially as Switch 2 is coming into the market. I feel like it's going to be that, and then it's going to domino from there. But I don't know if
a war is going to happen.
You don't think the handheld wars are coming?
Yeah, I don't know. It just seems like you've kind of got like the power players in the handheld space. You've got Nintendo, which is like the top dog over it all. Everything. And then you've got Valve with their Steam Deck that kind of came out of nowhere and created a product that
kind of made a little hole in the market.
Didn't exist before. And the rest of them, I feel like they're just kind of like these companies trying to like, they're seeing what has already been done is like, oh, we could put out our own version of that. You know, you're not going to create a true competition with stuff like that.
But what I could see is maybe they won't sell 100 million units like the Switch does, right? But I could see them selling 20 million. I could see Microsoft with this new handheld say like,
between a bunch of different
I could see like
brands and vendors and
like this handheld coming out for Microsoft and Asus. It's not going to sell well, but this is going to be a test. I think,
also, don't count too much on Nintendo. Like I said, I think they're going to do a Switch 2. Nintendo is look.
Let's get into it.
Everybody's doing console wars. We're gonna make a Wii U. We don't even care about power. You know what I mean? Oh, everybody is trying to come out with their
IBM
own
chip we got in the Wii U.
They're trying to do all these IP wars now on the console wars, right? Everybody's got to have their exclusives. We're gonna make a Switch. You're gonna go wherever you want with it, and you have all your favorite characters, right?
Suckers.
You know what I mean? Nintendo is always just like, oh, everybody else over there, we're going this direction.
Yeah, and I feel like they want a piece. Everybody else wants a piece of that pie, but we'll see.
Switch 2 will come out. I'm there. It's guaranteed.
Yeah,
but I don't think there's going to be a Switch 3. I think they're going to find something else different to do because Nintendo just beats to their own drum.
Well, speaking of Switch 2, let's get right into it. So the last thing I have for you guys here is as we come ever closer to the reveal of the Switch 2's Direct on April 2nd, what are we expecting? What kind of features are we thinking that will be part of this experience? What games are we expecting to be there? And finally, when do we think it's going to launch? You can answer those and take it however you guys want.
Switch launched in September of 17?
March of 17.
March.
It was actually around the time we're recording, actually. I think it was March 3rd, 2017.
I think you're right because I got it for a birthday present. Okay. I'm going to say March of next year.
Really?
Yep. Because they've already announced it. I don't think they're going to drag it out longer than that. They've already let it leak.
You don't think it's going to be this year?
I think they're going to keep same window. Spring of 2026. I don't think it's going to be this year. Because the only other alternative would be holiday season.
Okay.
When everything else is worth spending an ungodly amount of money for. So I think it's going to be spring of next year.
Whoa.
And there's going to be some sort of Super Mario title or Zelda title, one of their big hitter IPs. I don't think they're going to... They may bring back a Kirby's Dream Land remaster.
Dreamland remaster, but not Course.
Yeah.
Dream Course. Okay.
Something to that effect. They might bring back some sort of HD
like Snipper
remaster,
Clips 3, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and then one of their big hitters, maybe even Donkey Kong, like a new original Donkey Kong IP, something.
Well, we know we're getting a new Mario Kart, that's for sure. But then that trailer, I mean, we're absolutely going to get a Mario Kart for a long time.
They're just going to re-release Mario Kart 8 again.
I mean, I haven't really kept up on new Mario Karts, but I feel like the recent Mario Karts, none of them really even stick out to me as
Mario Kart, the one game that's been out for like 10 years.
Because they released it. They released it on Wii U. They released it on Switch. Was it on Wii originally?
Wii U, yeah.
I think it was Wii U, yeah. Because I have it on Wii U and I have it on Switch. I'm notorious for buying the game.
Are you going to buy it again on the Switch 2?
No.
Well, it has backwards compatibility, so it'll be fine.
I feel like though they did show Mario Kart gameplay in their teaser, so I feel like they are going to drop a new Mario Kart.
That's just backward compatibility, yo.
Just because. But then again, the Nintendo does what they want.
Exactly.
But it would make sense for them to drop a new Mario Kart because anticipation for a Mario Kart game that's actually new would create a lot of buzz.
I'm sorry, Frankie has this face on him.
I just had a brain baby.
You had a big revelation that's happened.
Star Fox is coming to Switch 2. That's what they're bringing to the big IP. That's the remaster original IP.
What are they remaking? What are
they
doing? Just a new Star Fox?
They're bringing Star Fox
back.
Like bringing it back. Star Fox has been dead since the N64.
Yeah. But they're bringing it back with the Switch 2.
The N64, they had a GameCube game. And
it was Star Fox Assault or whatever.
Yeah. And then they had Wii U.
No. Star Fox Assault was on the DS.
No, Command was on the DS. Assault was on the GameCube.
No. It was Star Fox. I keep thinking of
Adventures.
Star Fox Adventure.
Yeah, they had that and Assault.
I keep.
Yeah.
I was trying to remember the name because I keep
the
thinking
one with
of
Crystal.
Yeah, whenever I think of that game, I think of the video that JonTron did for it, and he continually refers to it as Stairfax temperatures. So it was like, what's that game called? And my brain just kept saying Stairfax temperature. But yeah, Star Fox Adventure. Both of those games were like literally nothing.
And the Wii U game as well, whatever. Zero? Was it called Zero? Star Fox Zero?
All the Star Fox
I'm saying
games...
they're bringing it back with a big comeback.
All the Star Fox games that have come out since Star Fox 64 have been like just the worst trash ever.
Yeah.
So I like Assault.
The franchise has been...
kind of biased,
the franchise has been totally dead.
Yeah.
Like they pulled the plug on it.
Yeah.
Like
but he
it's
is
not
a
even on
popular
life
character
support.
on Melee and Ultimate.
Yeah,
so Smash Brothers.
Yeah, Smash Bros.
I kind of actually am getting on this idea a little bit.
Starfield, but better. And Star Fox.
Bethesda?
See, honestly,
so big old open RPG.
The guys who made Xenoblade are gonna make a Star Fox game.
Yeah, there you go.
Honestly, I think what would be really cool.
That'd be cool. You find your ship around to different stuff.
I think what would be really cool is a true update to Star Fox 64.
Star Fox 3.
Essentially, yes, because they had Star Fox 2 in the works for the Super Nintendo, and it was going to be like the Super Nintendo's like swan song, but they ended up never releasing it because it was too big of a game for the Super Nintendo. And eventually they did put it on the little SNES Classic thing that came out as like a little Easter egg, and I played it. Runs like crap. It's not even playable.
Okay, but you remember those? You remember those proprietary ports that nobody ever knew what the heck they were for because they never released hardware for it. Some guy in Japan has the original one that clips in and it runs fantastic. And the original cartridge, and she's the only one that has one. That's
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, like even running emulated on a console that can run like. I can play PS2 and some Dreamcast games on my SNES Classic. But
how long did it take people to get a good PS2 emulator long after the motion engine? Because even though it was powerful for its time, but it wasn't super powerful. It was just ridiculously complicated to encode onto a processor and actually flesh out into graphical accuracy.
Star Fox 2 on that SNES Classic, the same SNES Classic that I could play Marvel vs. Capcom 2 on, is basically unplayable. But the concept for it is so great because, you know, how Star Fox in its essential form is an on-rails shooter.
Mm-hmm.
Like, basically, they took it off the rails. So you were basically able to free fly through the environments and navigate the levels however you wanted to. And they had sections where your R-Wing actually turned into like a little walker thing.
Oh, that's cool.
So it was a really creative concept. And Star Fox 64 it's a great game. Don't get me wrong, but Star Fox 64 wasn't nearly as creative as Star Fox 2 simply because the logistics of it, like it was a launch title for the N64.
Right.
They couldn't do as much with it, whereas Star Fox 2 was like supposed to be like the swan song for the Super Nintendo.
Right.
So really, honestly, if they were to do like something like a really cool, like groundbreaking update to like Star Fox 64, like a true sequel to Star Fox 64 that did something really creative and awesome with those basic mechanics, dude, that would be awesome.
I'm surprised we're still on Star Fox. Okay, but
I told you I had a brain baby and it felt so right.
I could see them doing something right now. When you look at the rumor mill in quotes, you shouldn't believe anything you hear about Nintendo because, except for maybe some of the hardware stuff, because time and time again, the game stuff just doesn't pan out and it's really bad. And it's like,
they're really
unhealthy.
good at, lack of a better term, corporate espionage, putting out false rumors.
Yeah, there's going to be false stuff put out there.
Stuff.
There's going to be people that, my uncle works at Nintendo. Like, it's all this kind of crap. But just in a different form. I want to get David, what do you think? Release date? When are they dropping the Switch 2? This year, next year? Frankie says next year.
I'm inclined to say next year as well.
Really?
It makes the most business sense. I mean, what really be crazy is if they dropped it in like June or something. Well, but I don't think that's gonna.
Midsummer would be good.
Well,
like that would. I think that would be a good time to drop it. As far as, but I don't know if they could make that happen. So, it all depends on how far along it is in development.
So that's the thing. I feel like this thing has been cooking, and they've had this thing ready for a while. I mean, the hardware was confirmed in 2022, as we know of, like allegedly. So they've been waiting and sitting on this thing for a while, is from what I understand. And when you look at the last Switch, that was kind of a special case. People like to point out and say, wow, they revealed and released it in 6 months. That is true. I would make a counter argument, though, devil's advocate to that, being like that was a very rushed thing because these like, we need to get away from the Wii U as fast as possible. So that's why they did that. But if it works, it works. If they revealed this thing in January and we're getting the April 2nd as the direct or whatever, I wouldn't be surprised if we get a June or September launch because 3DS launched in September. That's definitely a thing that they've done before, as well as I think, I could be wrong, but I don't think there's been a hardware from Nintendo release in June. I could be totally wrong.
I don't think so. Here's why. You get September, you get early holiday pre-sales.
Early holiday pre-sales, yep.
Okay. And then that's the time of year where people tend to spend lots of money.
You're already out for the new Pokemon game, which is going to come out in the fall.
Right. The other reason they launch in spring is financially, it's when the most people have tax returns, tax breaks. They're going to have that equity to pour into something expendable. And so I don't think it's going to be a summer. That is the best time for them to get use out of it because you got, especially
all the kids coming out of school,
majority of audience, right? You have
be like,
young kids and young adults.
Summer.
You're going to have the time to do so. But financially, most of those people can't afford it. It's their parents and grandparents, etc. So you're getting a spring or a fall in time for holiday. That's when you're getting it.
I'm thinking, so you guys are saying next year. I'm thinking this year in September or June. That's my prediction. I can't nail one or the other, but I think it's going to be, I feel like they're not going to hold on to it too long. I don't think they're going to hold on to it too long. I feel like they just are going to drop it and they're going to say, here's the lineup. I feel like they're ready. This thing was supposed to come out in the last 2 years from what all the rumors were saying, but we had concrete stuff, reports from last year that said, hey, it's going to be 2024, and it wasn't. So now it like, who knows what they are going to do because Nintendo's kind of like playing everybody for a fool at this moment. So I'm thinking June or September is my prediction, but
summer release would be
I think it's just they're going to drop it like hot.
Would make quite a splash.
Yeah,
it all really
Nintendo.
Yeah, it all really depends on
like no, you can't
how ready they are for that. I kind of, because it's it seems like everybody's saying, oh, it's going to be released this year. Oh, it's going to be released this year. So if all those rumors were true, it seems like it's been undergoing some setbacks. Yeah. So it would make a little more sense if it has been undergoing some setbacks for them to take the time to really get it right and launch in spring of next year.
There's also an interesting factor of what they do have ready and what they don't have ready. The last thing I heard from whatever Switch 2 roundabout stuff was happening was they are delaying it to 2025 because they need more time for the software is what they said. But in reality, what they're actually were doing was just selling through another holiday season of just this original Switch. Because it's the smartest thing business-wise to do.
Yeah.
And then sometime in 2025, we'll release the sucker. Also, you give extra time for the devs and Nintendo proper to get their games ready.
Yep.
I think we're going to get, if we do get that case, what's the launch lineup going to look like is the next question. I'm thinking we're going to get that Mario Kart game. It looks different. The character designs are different as well. Like Donkey Kong has these bullet eyes. It kind of looks like some of the designs are from, like, inspired from the movie, the Mario Bros. Movie, the Super Mario Bros. one that Illumination did. We're going to get Mario Kart, but what else are we going to get, guys? Like you say, Star Fox. That'd be cool if they bring back an old IP
cool.
like that.
I think we're going to get there some sort of typical in it. We're going to
Metroid
get
Prime
Mario
4 coming
Zelda
to this launch.
is
I bet you at least a higher frames, higher resolution version of what, because didn't that just launch not that long ago? 4
What?
Echoes or
the remaster of the first one just released last year.
3.
And then the second one
From
supposedly
GameCube.
is going to come out soon.
Because 4 is on its way out. Or on
4
its
is
way.
on its way, yeah.
Is it?
Before they revealed the trailer last year, like saying, hey, it's coming soon.
Yeah.
And then because Retro restarted development a couple years ago. So I think I wouldn't be surprised if it's a launch title.
Same.
yeah. I mean, yeah, it would be.
Are we thinking, what was the game you and me were talking about, David, where you're like, oh, that's what they're going to bring to Switch? Because we talked about GTA 5 last podcast, but there was something else you mentioned that I can't remember. That you said, I mentioned Starfield, which I don't think is happening at all.
Yeah, I can't remember what it was. Yeah, there was some game I was thinking would be one of those things
To be like a Skyrim.
Yeah,
Is
yeah.
what we were talking
but
about.
I mean, I think GTA 5 could fill that role. I could honestly see GTA 5 having like a re-release on the Switch too.
Because they just released the enhanced edition on PC as well. So there's that, as well as, what was it? They just did the new gen versions like 2 years ago. So they could port GTA 5 to Switch 2 and it'll run fine.
See, you know what would be really awesome? Red Dead 2 on the
That's
Switch.
what I'm thinking, man. I feel like they're gonna, because this thing's as powerful as a Steam Deck or PS4. Get RDR2 on there. Launch title, $70. There you go. And Rockstar already gets that money, and they're gonna release GTA 6 on everything else. So, or excuse me, the other 2 consoles. So I could see that. What are you thinking, Frankie? Anything third party? What do we think? Baldur's Gate 3 coming to this thing?
Maybe.
Maybe.
If it's still running a custom version of Android like the Switch has, then probably.
Yeah.
How easy would that be to port it into a different version of Linux?
I don't think they use that as the OS. It's just that's just the menu and how that menu operates. I could be wrong.
I was pretty sure that it was a custom Android, but
You're probably right.
Could
I'm
be
just
wrong
thinking
because
wrong.
that's like
Because I know that's what they use, but I don't know if that's like
I mean,
porting to Android.
it would,
you know?
yeah, it would make sense. It would make sense for that to be if it was at some point based on Android.
It's an
but
ARM
they turned it
architecture as
into
well. That's
Yeah.
another thing.
but they
to note.
turned it into their own thing.
Because when they were putting Rocket League on there, which was Unreal Engine 3, Unreal Engine 3 was not optimized for ARM devices at all, or any chip with ARM. So they had to really work hard to port that sucker to the Switch originally. And we're going to get ARM as well moving forward because we're getting backwards compatibility. I would love to see, I'm trying to think of what I want to see. We're definitely getting Marvel Rivals at launch. That's for sure. That's going to be there. It's going to be there. They're going to put it on there. It's going to release on Switch 2. It's just waiting in the wings, I
you
bet.
know what else will be right there?
What?
Fortnite.
Yeah, Fortnite. Well, it's already on the Switch originally, so you're going to up version, they're going to do that. I'm trying to think of what else. Man, I'm like drawing a blank.
They're gonna have a Fire Emblem game, probably not at launch, but they're gonna have a new Fire Emblem.
I feel like
game.
That's rumored to be a remake of the 4th game, which was Genealogy of the Holy War, and apparently it's been done for a long time.
My hope is that they don't make Metroid Prime 4 a launch title.
Make it somewhere else in the year to
Yeah,
get people
like
buying it.
just to do some more with it, because Metroid Prime is cool, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But for me, the series has always been kind of missing something.
Okay.
I had
Like
Prime on my GameCube. That was the best version that I've played, and I've played the original 2D side scrollers, and
in every iteration of the Prime games specifically, not all Metroid games, but in the Prime games specifically, every time another one comes out, it always seems to me like it's not as great as it could have been. Like, the original, the OG one, not a great looking game. Like they did it what they could with it, but like it wasn't a great looking game. And for the appeal of Metroid has always been kind of like the atmosphere of it.
Right.
So it needed to be a really great looking game, and also the controls were just clunky. And then they came out with the Wii versions, and they sort of tried to remedy that. It's like, oh look, it's like a point and shoot, but the execution for FPS games on the Wii was terrible.
You guys are ready to get your mind blown? We're getting Forza Horizon 5 on the Switch 2 eventually, as well as Master Chief Collection.
Yeah, weren't they talking about a deal with Nintendo to get Game Pass on there?
That was like 4 years ago,
yeah.
But I don't think that panned out as they wanted it to. But I think we're going to get, because they're releasing Horizon 5 on the PS5 this year, as well as Indiana Jones. I don't think you're going to see Indiana Jones on this thing.
But
I think Halo's going to be on Switch 2 and PS5 this year. They're going to make an announcement saying Master Chief Collection, live your childhood and live the wonderful experience of these titles on brand new hardware, including Switch 2 and also PS5. It's going to cross-play. You can detach the Joy-Cons and hand it to your buddy and do dual split screen. It's going to be awesome. What else?
You just live in some weird fantasy land, huh?
I mean, you know me. I mean, you know how I write. I'm very much in the clouds. I could see stuff like Baldur's Gate 3 getting on there, Larian downsizing that for Switch 2.
I mean, heck, if they release
Borderlands
it on
4 maybe later this year.
Apple Silicon, why not on the Switch?
Exactly. Like there's that too, which is also ARM.
Exactly.
So they have that already done. Jedi Survivor, I could see something like that later on. Launch, you're getting Mario Kart and you're getting a new Mario game is my guess. Because I feel like it's time for like either Odyssey 2 or some new Mario 3D game.
Sunshine.
Like
they need to bring Sunshine back.
Sunshine remake. Who knows? They could.
Or a second one.
In terms of what they're going to announce, we'll get the new Pokemon reveal. We'll get the new Fire Emblem remake that's rumored. We'll get the Mario Kart and Mario game. In terms of third-party, Marvel Rivals, and I keep thinking Baldur's Gate 3, but I think RDR2 is where it's going to be at, David. I feel like they're going to do Red Dead Redemption 2. Because it just makes a lot of sense, honestly. So,
except Rockstar's all but abandoned RDR.
Well, yeah, but it's been like 7 years, so.
Yeah, it didn't even get half the love that GTA got, and I think it's a better game.
Yeah.
The story's better, the gameplay's better. It was just a better game.
Honestly, yeah, Red Dead Redemption 2 is a beautiful game. I've played a little bit of the first one, haven't played the second one, but I want to because it's such a beautiful game.
Right now it's only $15 on Steam, David. You should get it and put it on this thing and then this studio computer.
My PlayStation account if you want to come over and play.
I also have the copy on Xbox if you want to just play in the living room. I'll just leave it in your chair one day and you'll be like, where did this come from? The Easter Bunny.
Me and Jacob replayed it last year.
Yeah.
We went through the whole game and replayed it.
That's what me and David want to do. We want to sit down and just go through it together.
Because I played it when it originally came out, and I'm notorious for not beating a game. I do put lots of hours into a game. Not 5 minutes, not 5 hours. I'll put like 80 hours, but I do all the side quests. I get 3/4 of the way through. I'm like, I've got the gist of it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Enough.
Yeah. But friends at work, when I was working at Build, they were like, you don't ever finish the game. I was like, I could do it in like a week. They're like, yeah, if you played games like you watch anime, I'd believe that, right? So, of course, I went through 90+ hours in one single week to purposely try and beat it.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, it was actually challenging to get myself to just sit and do that. But it was a really good game. I did, I'd say 80+% of side quests while doing that. Maybe
that's what I'll play after Lies of P, because right now it's on sale. It's $15.
I
great
will
price.
run you over with my car if you don't start playing Monster Hunter.
That's $70. That's a lot of money right now.
I will run you over if you don't start. I didn't say Wilds.
Oh,
I just said Monster Hunter.
The other W.
Just any of them.
Okay.
Any of them. I don't have Rise on PC,
Okay.
but I have Rise on
I have
PlayStation.
Worlds, so we could
and I
do
have
something
Rise
like
on my
that.
Switch.
Throw
I
Wesley
have
in there.
Worlds
Wesley's
on my
easy.
PC.
We'll be like, hey, Wesley.
He's
get in
probably
here.
further than I am, honestly, at this point. And I was most of the way through Iceborne DLC. I'd be surprised because like I said, I bought him and Riley
Damn.
because it was on sale.
You're like me with Master Chief Collection. I'm like, no, just here you go. I bought it for literally everybody.
Wesley started playing so much of it. And I was trying to get Nick to play. I was like, oh, if we get Riley and Wesley, we'll have a full team, right?
Yeah.
Full 4-squad hunter. And man, Wesley played the heck out of it. Riley played maybe 10 hours of it. He pulled a Jake.
Pulled a switcheroo, Jacob. Pulled a Jacob.
No, yeah, he pulled a Jake.
Pulled a Jake. Yeah, that's what it is.
I got the idea of it. It's not that fun.
But dude, you know what else is going to be on Switch too? That Oblivion remake. I feel like that's inevitable.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
I don't think you're going to get Starfield. Like, I don't see that on Switch 2, but you'll get Oblivion remake.
If the Oblivion
You'll get
remake
Avowed on
actually
there.
comes out.
You're gonna get Avowed on
UE5
there.
is it'll run a lot smoother than
Oh, yeah,
the
it'll
creation
run
engine. That's why I think it's more likely than Starfield.
Yeah.
I don't think either of them are going to happen, to be fair.
Fallout
No,
4, that could be a Switch 2. That was never
Potential,
on the original
potential.
Switch.
Yeah.
Or
I'm trying to think of just
possibly
PS4
this,
games as well.
This
Like,
rumored Fallout 3 remake, maybe.
yeah, that could be coming out next year and Switch 2 launch. So, well, anyway, that's all I got for you, gentlemen. Do you have anything else you'd like to mention before we cast off and in our spaceship as the Handheld Wars might maybe begin?
Dragon's Dogma and Monster Hunter. Play them. I don't care if they're not your jam. Try them. They are fantastic games.
So maybe I should just boot up World instead of buying RDR2. That's what you're telling me.
I mean, I'd be happier if you got Wilds and joined me. But if you're not going to, then yes.
There's going to be like a game billet or fanatical like key deal. It's going to go down to like $55. Maybe, but no promises.
It came out at the end of February. You got at least another 4 or 5 months.
Yeah, I got
before it's
another
on
probably
sale.
summertime. Where,
Yeah.
like it's going to go on sale like when the fire season's happening, and I'm like away from you, Frankie.
Yeah,
you
you're
know?
not going to have any time to play.
Yeah. Well, yeah. There's no time to play anything when you're doing that stuff. So anyway. All right, y'all. Well, thank you so much for listening to yet another episode of the Snarp Fangle Podcast, and we will see you another time. And remember to continue the hunt and Snarp Fangle on.
Bye-bye now.